Brandon Trax Hyatt, we're coming to you with a very fun-filled, action-packed live edition, straight out of the Pro Day, where we had a lot of good content. We broke it down a little bit, but we have a very special guest in the building for the Monsters of the Madhouse, and it is no other than 85 Chicago Bear Dan Hampton. Danimal, how you doing today? Yeah, we're very excited about it, Dan. And here's the deal. We were all disappointed, or not disappointed. We were a little bummed out when Justin, left the building because he was, he made some great plays. He was a leader in the locker room. He just, everybody just loved him and embraced him and his hard work and stuff. And now, fast forward, we're looking at pretty much just building without him, and we're not quite sure where we're going to go in the draft. What are you thinking right now so far?
Brandon, number one, just because you don't job in the NFL doesn't mean that you're not a wonderful person. Boy, I played with so many really, really quality people. But if Justin Fields would have covered kicks or been the third receiver, then he probably would still be, employed by the Bears. But unfortunately, he took the option of, taking on the challenge of being an NFL quarterback. And as you know, that's a pretty lofty goal. And at the end of the day, he was 10-28 as a starter. Let me say that again. He won 10 games. He lost 28 as starter. Now, let me compare that with Patrick Mahomes. And it may seem unfair because, we had the opportunity to draft Patrick Mahomes, but our geniuses didn't realize what he was. But all that being said, we have now went through a week and a half of free agency where the rich get richer, the poor sometimes scrap, trying to find a way to get relevant. But after all of this free agency, that has been conducted, who is now, right now, tonight, still the number one team as far as the odds makers' choice to win next year's Super Bowl? I'll give you a clue. It starts with a K and ends with a C. That's right, Kansas City. And at the end of the day, it's all about the magic that the kid, Patrick Mahomes, can bring to the football field. Now, of course, we all wish and wanted Justin to be able to have just even a glimmer of that. At times, he flashed, but still, there is no position in sports is there more of a dominant factor than a truly franchise quarterback. And 10-28, by no stretch of the imagination, is a franchise quarterback. Now, Justin Fields was sent for basically a couple of 6 packs of beer. That's what a 6th-round pick is. I'm sorry. Maybe the last 6th-round pick by the Chicago Bears that really did something. Oh, well, you could say this guy, but I'm just saying, a 6th-round pick, 1 out of 5 makes the roster. It's kind of a nothing. But all that being said, they're clearing the tables. They're clearing the decks for who, and it's Caleb Williams. And I think a lot of people will probably hear about the workout that he had in California yesterday, which would be the 7th, 8th, 19th, 20th of March, where he dazzled with his arm. But more than that, he has the moxie of a really, really great player. Now, I've been watching the NFL up close and personal for a long time. And in my mind, he's the closest thing I've seen to Patrick Mahomes. And that's why Justin Fields was sold for a song. It was to clear the decks and allow the Bears to bring in Caleb Williams and hopefully start the clock on the Chicago Bears finally winning their second Super Bowl.
Ladies and gentlemen, voice of Dan Hampton. He just given us some breakdown analysis of what's going on right now within our ranks of QB and what's going to be looking what we potentially think is going to happen in the near future. Makes a lot of sense. With us right now, we got Sean Sierra, Greg, the Sean Sierra guy. And so basically we just want to ask him some question, guys, and brought Sean Sierra in, super back. He's got a great show on Sports Zone 1 Chicago. Hey, Sean, what would you like to ask Danimal right now? Any question about Chicago Bears?
Hey, Dan, how you doing? First, I just want to say hi. We met years ago, back in '99, when we shot that Portillo's commercial at St. Pat's when I was with the Chargers. Do you recall that?
Wish I had a Portillo sandwich right now.
Hey, are the Portillo's in Florida or no?
You can ship it.
I don't think they got many of those out in Florida. Yeah.
Well, they have them in Arizona. I just came back from Arizona and stopped there. But let me ask you this question, Dan. So, it's a two-part question. How much of it, I know you kept referencing Justin's record. How much of that was Justin's fault? Because you do recall that his second year, his first year with Poles, they did gut the entire defense, and they gave up 33 points a game in that losing streak. And when you have the receivers of Damiere Byrd, Amir Smith-Marset, Pettis, Dante Pettis, you're not winning a shootout much with those. So how much do you think was his fault with that 10-28 record? But also moving forward, after that, what do you think that this new quarterback is going to be? Whoever it is, can he take this team to the playoffs? He set up whatever quarterback it is. This is probably the first or the best situation a rookie quarterback has ever been set up with. The number one overall pick has ever been set up with in the history of the NFL. 2 Pro Bowl receivers, a tight end, a playoff-ready defense, an upgrade in the offensive line, an upgrade in the offensive coaching staff. So where do you expect this new quarterback this year to take the Bears?
Okay, some good questions. Appreciate it. Now, first of all, let me just say this. A very peculiar thing Caleb Williams said, I guess it was a week or so ago, when he was talking about the Bears, saying, do they want to win? In other words, don't ask me if I want to win. I'm asking the franchise, the Bears, do you want to win? He said, he asked that question rhetorically, but then he said, but to go 7-10 and still have the first pick in the draft is pretty good. Well, unfortunately, maybe he's not sophisticated. It's Carolina's pick, not the Bears. The Bears are ninth in the first round. So that being said, it's kind of cute that he did not realize that, but he's a college player up until, the end of April. All that being said, my wife is the first one to tell me I don't want to hear no excuses. Mike Ditka was like that. He didn't want to hear any excuses. There's a reason why a lot of that defense was traded away. It was gutted. It was, receivers were summarily discharged. All that. It was because, if you want to strip it away, do you think they had the belief they were going to the playoffs or the Super Bowl with Justin Fields? No. They knew the only way that a Justin Fields-led team would ever materialize and be good enough to mount an assault on the playoffs, or maybe going deep into, was to upgrade the rest of the roster to the point where, I used to say Jim McMahon was like a monkey driving a limo. He had so many great players around him. It was almost, foolproof. You got the great defense. You had Walter Payton. You had speed outside. You had a great offensive. So, essentially, that was the direction that Ryan Poles took. And we'll talk about it and carp about it for the next 10 years. But all that being said, You know the goods when you see it. I will tell you this past year, how many times did you see C.J. Stroud go in and win a game? Nobody gave him a chance to win. Joshua Dobbs beat the Rams, beat the Dallas Cowboys. I'm just saying, there were instances where young quarterbacks basically at first would accomplish something special. Well, Justin, unfortunately, the only teams we could beat were the Dregs. The other teams like Carolina and Atlanta and other teams that were always, lacking. And so that was part of the reason why they did, perform an autopsy on the roster somewhere in the middle of the season last year. But all that being said, I've seen, and I was part of teams that we churned rosters, but yet we still beat teams of note. And yet it was unfortunate. Justin, he played in 40 games. He had 40 touchdowns and 30 interceptions. I don't know how many fumbles. I mean, the number. And if you want to talk about really a catastrophic, eye view of Justin Fields' career, look at his fourth quarter stats. It's amazingly bad. And okay, we were behind. We're a bad team. He was trying to make something, but I'm just saying, there's a reason why nobody in the NFL, and let me just tell you this, the McCaskies and the Rooneys are still thick as thieves. They're great friends to this day. They're Irish buddies in the bosom. And you know what? Maybe George called and said, look, throw us a bone here. Give us a 6th-round pick. We'll send him up. But for me to think about this. How many, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have been the beneficiary of so much draft wealth of the Chicago Bears. We sent them a number 2 that was really the 32nd pick in the first round for Claypool. So essentially, we sent them a number 1 that did nothing. We sent them, Trubisky essentially signed with them after we spent 3 number 1s to draft him, and then now 2 number 1s for Justin Fields they get for a song. My goodness, if I was the Pittsburgh Steelers, I would be sending a band to the St. Patrick's Day parade every year in Chicago for the next 50 years for all the draft value they have gleaned from the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I definitely see your point. It seems one-sided, and hopefully either we learn to not trade with Pittsburgh anymore or get better at it. Hey, Leroy, you got any questions for Dan?
Yes, I do. You kind of touched on some of the stuff about the stats, so kind of won't get into any of that. However, I want to dive into the draft prospects. So I understand your personal opinion. You feel it's Caleb. Do you think there's anyone else that the Bears may be looking at that might be, a high number 2 pick just in case that they might be thinking about, or as you feel it's strictly Caleb and nobody else?
Is going to essentially make the pick. Think about that. Who's going to do that? Brian Bowles.
Yeah.
Where did Brian Bowles come from? Where did he see a quarterback that could almost magically lift a franchise? I'm just saying. Think about it. In the big picture. And again, what I said at the start of the show, I'm amazed. I'm looking at the Las Vegas odds about who would be the favorite to win next year's Super Bowl today. Now, if you remember, they traded a receiver. They got Marquez Brown and let a couple other receivers go. They re-signed Chris Jones and their quarterback. They franchised. That's it. And yet they lost an offensive guard, Nick Allegretti, and they lost a couple of other guys. I think a safety or 2. Anyway, the point being is the Chiefs we're not really in the Super Bowl conversation, 2 weeks before Christmas. But all of a sudden, things started happening. The receivers stopped dropping balls. The quarterback started making better throws. The offensive line started to better. The defense, who played pretty damn well all year, continued to. Well, it was almost like they waved the magic wand. And who was the guy waving the wand? It was Patrick Mahomes. I really, truly believe that Ryan Coles, in his heart, knows what he's looking at, and again, that's why the decks had to be cleared. We couldn't have the complication. See, if I was the general manager, I would have kept Fields. You keep him for a song next year, and you know what? You wait, and maybe if Caleb Williams doesn't beat him out, and he plays well, my God, it could be you could get a 2 or maybe a 1. But anyway, they didn't want to go down that road. They're clearing the decks, and that's why. And again, you go back and listen to me on WGN. I mean, I held out high hopes, and always magnified some of the good, and realized that, without DJ Moore, I mean, Mooney took a year or 2 off. He hasn't been a factor,
Yeah.
But
true.
at the end of the day, just saying, we were desperately seeking greatness at that position. And other than a few, drives, there was so much to be, desired. And you look at Caleb Williams, I mean, the kid's thrown 93 touchdowns in the last 3 years. I mean, it's kind of incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Ladies and gentlemen, what's also incredible is we have Danimal on from Super Bowl 20 champion, also Hall of Famer, unbelievable, giving us great insight on what's going on with our Chicago Bears right now. Brandon, would you'd like to ask a question to Dan Hampton, who's on the phone right now with us?
Absolutely, I would. Dan, there's a lot of Chicago fan base have a concern about Caleb Williams' ability to win over the locker room. I'm hearing a lot about this subject. I know he had Justin Fields had a lot of trust in the locker room, and I'm curious if you can refer back to a time which somebody respected was traded, how it affected the locker room, and how willing you were to embrace whoever it was that was going to fill that role next.
Well, it's a two-edged sword. Number one, the reason that certain players were traded was the team felt they could be better going in another direction. And I'll never forget, we had a safety named Lenny Waltershine. Dave Durison was a number 2 draft pick, I believe. And Dave did not do anything to distinguish himself in training camp. And Buddy Ryan was like, I don't want him. He won't hit. And Dave, it was on the film. In all the preseason games, he'd come up to make a tackle and dive on the ground. And not, man up and tackle the way we were expected to tackle. And yet, Dick and Jim Finks said, no, we're keeping him. And they cut Lenny Waltershine, who was one of our dearest friends. And you know what? That morning in the meeting, Buddy Ryan stood up and turned around and pointed at Dave Durson and said, I had to cut a hell of a kid to keep your ass here. The first time you dive on the ground, I don't care. They're going to have to fire me or what, but you're out of here. Do you understand? Well, guess what? Dave Durson became a Pro Bowler because they challenged him and they gave him an opportunity. Well, that could very well happen. Again, I think it's Caleb Williams. I think it's 99.5%. Yeah, but if it's not, if if they trade down and they get J.J. McCarthy, whoever it is, they got to be the man now. Because it's a fait accompli. You can't go and say, "Oh, Justin, we're bringing you back." It's over. You got to move on. And you know what? The first time that if it's Caleb Williams and he throws that 80-yard touchdown bomb and the Bears win, I'm telling you, everybody kind of forgets, and they'll be patting him on the back, and they won't be saying, "I wish we had Justin Fields." It's just the way of the game.
Amen. Amen.
Ladies and Dan Hampton, please click the like button and subscribe. Be a friend, tell everyone about us. Hall of Fame Dan Hampton, number 99, on us, giving us some great insight. We got one more question, and he's got to go. He's got an action-packed schedule, and we're just blessed to have him for a few quick, short minutes. Dustin Jones, awesome setup you got behind you, man. Singletary jersey, I love it. I could tell you're bleeding blue and orange. What kind of question you got for Dan for him tonight?
Well, just want to thank Dan again for being on with us. It's awesome. I thought of a question because he mentioned, Mike Ditka having no excuses. I know you played for Lou Holtz in college. You played for Mike Ditka in the pros. What about those two coaches, if anything, was similar, like a similar trait where you saw that in them and you're like, that makes a good football coach. And that's what I want from my football coach. And then, do you see any of that trait in our current coach, Matt Eberflus?
I think times are different. I think my dear friend, the great Lou Holtz, made a comment 2-3 years ago. They said, what's the difference between coaching today and 40, 50 years ago? He said back then, players talked about opportunities and responsibilities, and today's players talk about what's in it for them. If you think about it, that's pretty much accurate. And maybe that's one reason why ESPN, opted to go in another direction. But the point being is, facts are facts. And I, just like everyone else that played for these coaches, and I played for Jimmy Johnson, I played for Monty Kiffin in college. I had such great coaching. It's amazing. You'd think I could do something after that. But the point being is, I really, the common denominator was they challenged you to be the best you could be, and yet they initiated the fact that you had a responsibility to do it. They're not gonna hold your hand. You got to go out there and do it. Now, Eberflus has shown some good traits. Is he going to remind me of Mike Ditka? No. Does he remind me of Dan Campbell, the closest thing to Ditka today in the NFL? No, he doesn't. But Bill Walsh was not a coach that I really was fond of, but yet he's in the Hall of Fame. I mean, there's lots of ways to skin a cat, and maybe Matt Eberflus, with his special style, we've seen the team respond. The way the defense, when he took over, week 6 or whatever, and then basically give all the stats where they're in the top 5 or 7 of all the meaningful stats in the NFL. Yeah, that's not just because everybody wakes up, and has a cup of coffee. There's got to be a lot of effort and preparation and performance involved in that. So I think Matt Eberflus deserves another year. But after that, after 3 years, you've got to see which way that needle's going. And it was early in this little podcast that you guys were saying, hey, there can't be many excuses. Look at the receivers, the quarterback. If indeed they get Caleb or whoever it is, your offensive line upgrades, DeAndre Swift in the backfield. So all that being said, Matt Eberflus has nowhere to hide. This has got to be at least a 10-win season. Otherwise, we're going to have issues.
Wow. Okay. Hey, I honestly, I couldn't let you go without asking this very important question. Very good friend of yours, Steve Mongo McMichael, just recently made it into the Hall of Fame. And, you were talking about basically, injustice, and it's long past due. I'm sure, you'll agree with that. What was it like for you to hear those words and to hear that awesome news that he finally made it into the Hall of Fame, Dan?
I think the opportunity is kind of closed, and the window of opportunity is closed. And we're holding out hope. And it's a damn shame that it took this devastating illness to kind of bring a focal or a spotlight to his contributions, his great play, all those different things. But now in hindsight, it's unfortunate that all these things have happened, but the one really truly redeeming great thing that has come about has been his ability to, what would you say? His campaign to make it to the Hall of Fame. And, a lot of Chicago fans, a lot of effort went into that. And it's, it could have been in vain, but it wasn't. And it's just fantastic. I was texting with Steve's sister today. He's in better spirits. So God bless him. We look forward to seeing him in Canton, Ohio this August.
Let's go to Canada. All right. Hey, appreciate you. Have a good night.
Yep.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate
Thanks, Dan.
it. Oh man.
You don't. He's just like click, and then he's out. I'll tell you what, man, you got to give it to him. And a lot of those 85 Bears, Sean too, they tell it like it is. They don't hold back, man. When you ask Sean a question, be ready because it might not be what you want to hear, but he's going to tell it to you straight up, So I got to ask Sean a question. And Sean and the rest of you guys, I wish we had more time so everybody could ask 2 or 3 questions, but when they give you a small window, you gotta take it. You got to take it.
I'm honored
Sean.
to have one.
Right, exactly. Hey, Sean. So I was listening to your show with Nomad, and you guys were basically breaking down everything. And I liked what you guys brought up about how sometimes things are changing. The players are evolving on these pro days. Some of them in the top 10, whatever. They don't have to show up, whatever. But I do like how you guys brought up the fact that some of these guys are actually showing up for their teammates because it's going to be one of the last times that it is going to be the last time that they're going to be together, and they're in spirit to help their brother shine. And I could you unpack that a little bit for us and basically what you guys talked about in your show? Because it was a really good show.
Well, I get it. You want to hang out with your teammates one more time. But also when you're doing it for your teammates, if you're a quarterback, you want to throw to your wide receivers, right? Because if you're a highly touted prospect, okay, at quarterback, well, you're a highly touted prospect because a lot of the catches that your receivers have made, and you also want to make them look good as well. And if you can help them and the best way you can help them is make them feel comfortable. All right, they've caught passes from you hundreds of times, okay, hundreds of times throughout the time you were there together. All right, make it something that's very simple, something that's where they're really comfortable, something where they're relaxed, something where they can really they can show out, because it could be a difference between them not getting drafted and maybe being a 5th or 6th round pick. Okay, it could be, and that's dollars. All right, and it could be a difference between the 5th or 6th round pick and a 2nd or 3rd round pick. All right, again, the dollars. And so as a teammate, yeah, you want to get back there, and then it's fun. All right, if for people who played football, you understand the last game that you play with like your boys, like a team that you've either won a championship with or had a lot of individual success. The last game's tough. That last game is tough, and you probably are not going to be together ever again, until after post football. So if you can get back on the field again, all right, like Caleb did, then it makes sense. And if it can help your teammate improve his draft stock, man, why not? Why not do it? And I think that's a good thing. I think a lot of quarterbacks do that, and that also works for them too, because they feel comfortable, depending on the quarterback. Okay, depending on the quarterback, if the quarterback they're looking to hit at him, maybe he's a 2nd or 3rd round pick, maybe he moves up into the round, but he's got comfort there as well. So it works both ways. Okay, but if you're a huge prospect like Caleb is, it's not gonna help your cause. You really can't go higher than number 1. So
Yeah, right.
But his teammates can. They can move up wherever they're at.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Hey, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, we've got 50 in the chat. So thanks for 51 now. Thanks for showing up.
Thank you, everybody.
And being here. And hey, Sean, I see one of the guys in it. You travel well, Sean. You travel really well. This is like the Bears, man, in England and all the places that we go to. Man, you got Armando in there, bro. That's one of your guys, right?
Armando is a guy that, man, is my brother, dude. I met him.
Awesome.
How old is Mondo? He's 26, 27. I met Junior in 1997. All right. We were playing for the Chicago Chargers, and man, his wife was pregnant with Armando, his son Mondo. And we've been friends ever since, man. And he was one of those dudes, like, you know, we've had some phenomenal moments, some crazy moments, and from the pirate story to the shrimp story to the whole bunch of different things. And, you know, to be in the Mondo's 27, so I met him 27 years ago. And it's crazy. And that's what you were talking about earlier on the show, is like when you're with your people, you know, you run, you know, you run, you're sweating, you're dying out there, and you trust the guy next to you because he's doing the same thing you're doing. All right. And that's the one piece, that's the way you're in trust, is when I'm busting my tail. I mean, hell, I was living in Tinley when I moved back to Chicago, and I would drive from Tinley Park all the way to Montrose and Elston. There was a Gold's Gym there. It's still there, but it's not Gold's anymore.
Yeah.
And I had to be at work at 7:30. I would get there at 5, which means I had to leave Tinley Park Expressway. I had to leave Tinley Park at 4 o'clock in the morning, which means I got up at 3:30. And me and Junior would work out, and we would meet because it was a 24-hour gym, and Junior and I would work out. And you know, it's funny. He's you know, after every workout, Junior would always look at me and say, "Another day, another victory." You know, so those are the moments that we you know, that you just can't put into words. You really can't.
Hey, you know what? I'll tell you what I can't put into words is what you and Nomad are cooking over there, man. You guys are killing it, man. You guys are freaking off the chain, man. You guys are putting out good content. I turned some of these boys on. Some of them already knew about you guys, but man, anytime I get a chance, I dive in and I piggyback off of some of your stuff because it helps me. And that's the thing. When you're at the top, you're not competing, you're collaborating, because we're all in this together. We're one big community, and it's great. It's great to have you on the show. So what I want to do is I want to ask Leroy, start off and ask Leroy to, you know, if you got any questions for Superback, Sean Sierra, have at it, then Brandon, then Dustin, and we'll just break down let's ask him. Let's pick his brain about what he saw at Pro Day, what he thinks going to happen, you know. Like I said, I wish we could have had Danimal on longer, but maybe next time, you know.
Oh yeah, we'll get him next time, man. We get him next time. Yeah, we can definitely. I'm just blessed that he decided to, you know, grace us, you know, with the time that he did have. I mean, we know how busy that man is, you know. But yeah, man, nice to meet you. Thanks for being on the show, my friend Sean. Thank you, appreciate you. You ain't no problem, man. Gracing the show, you know what I'm saying? It's an honor. And my question for you, because I know you guys are the aficionados. You see my boy over here, you know, Trax over here repping his USC
What this whole thing?
He's slick.
I saw him take it off, and I was like, "Oh boy."
hey, Trax J, I don't blame you, homie. I be flaunting it too, man. I be flexing with that too, bro. But my question for you today, brother, is besides Caleb, who did you think kind of raised their draft stock? You kind of hinted on that. For me, I thought it was Brandon Rice. I thought, because going in there, he seemed like a late, early 4th, late 3rd round pick. After his performance and the way he his route running looks a lot better. He looked a lot faster out there. I think he can sneak into being a late 2nd round pick now, early 3rd rounder. What are your thoughts?
On Rice himself?
Yeah, or Rice himself, or anybody who you thought kind of stood out besides Caleb.
Well, yeah, Rice definitely helped him out. I mean, let's not get it twisted. The name helps a lot too.
Yeah.
but also being comfortable with you, like I said, with your quarterback. It's just the lineage, it's the people think, okay, well, his dad was this. We don't expect him to be that. If he comes anywhere close to it, holy cow. If he comes halfway close to it, holy cow. So I think he helped. That definitely helped him out a lot. And then the kid from Texas, that wide receiver who ran like a 4 flat.
Xavier
No.
Worthy.
What was his name again?
Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
Yes.
That, I mean, it's speed you can't teach. I mean, and the thing about that is, it doesn't even matter about his route tree. All right, you can just set him on go routes, set him on corner routes, set him on post routes, or set him on crossers. Or he's on the right and goes to the back left end zone, the pylon over there, and and that, I think that dude really, really helped him his draft stock out a lot.
Yeah. Those are some guys I'm really hoping that we can maybe get some extra draft capital for.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what Poe's going to do with the draft capital. I know we have a lot of picks next year, as well. So is this going to be the year where he's cool with 4 or 5 picks? We'll see. To this point, he's shown that he likes a lot of picks in the draft. So, which is why I thought that the trade was going to happen. Apparently Ryan Poles didn't see it the way I saw it, because I had a completely different thought process. I thought, you can get, 2 first rounders this year, 2 first rounders next year, maybe 2 first rounders in 26. That's how you build a team. But apparently Ryan Poles, I don't think my thinking, my logic was wrong. Just Ryan Poles chose a different way to go. So that's all right.
Yeah.
Well, eventually you got to pull the trigger on that quarterback, though. You can't keep trading back that number 1 pick multiple years in a row with that kind of talent looking you in the face. That's a tough thing to do, especially given that, that's what a lot of these teams have done that have been successful. They've drafted that quarterback in those top 10 picks to put them in position, and they've put pieces around them, and that looks like what the Bears are going to do. But that kind of, my question was for you. I'm more interested in what they're going to do with that 9th pick. What do you see them doing with that?
It depends. It depends on their board, but I think they're going to trade back. However, if you got Romeo Odunze staring you in the face, if you got Joe Alt staring you in the face, if you got both of those dudes staring you in the face, you can't, it's going to be tough. Maybe if they're both there, you can trade back to 11 or 12 and hope one of them will be there. But if you only got one of those guys and they're on your board, boom, 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 and they're there, they're at the top of your board, because obviously Caleb is most likely going to be at the top of the board, and it seems like they're going to take him. It's really, really difficult to.
You guys see how many different scenarios he just blurted out? My brain would explode. I'd be like, somebody take the phone and make the decision. I can't take this.
I like
Joel. That's all I know, Joel.
Neighbors is, but will he be there? I mean,
I doubt it.
Are you a Neighbors or a Doomsday fan? Who, if you had both, who would you take?
Doomsday.
Neighbors.
Okay.
I like Neighbors, but
because also you have to remember, what if one of those guys are gone? What if you like Brian Thomas as well, Neighbors teammate, and you could trade back and
trade back. Oh, yeah.
And get him, or Brock Bowers. What about if you want a 3rd tight end, because he runs a lot of 3 tight end sets, 13 personnel. So there's a whole bunch of ways it can play out. And I know Ryan Poles, he seems diligent. I'm sure they've gone through maybe like 657 different draft scenarios, in what they're going to do. So you
think he does mock drafts? You guys think they tilt him back and like got shots of Jameson and drinking some beer or whatever?
I don't know about the Jameson part, but when they're working, trust me, they do a lot of mock drafts. My guy was one of the guys I went to high school with was Mark Sadowski. If you recall, he was the director of college scouting for the Bears for a long time. So he's a good buddy of mine. And yeah, they mock draft after mock draft after mock draft after different situation. It is insane how often they do those, because when you get to that point, and still very rarely do you get it right. Okay, because it's someone's going to throw a monkey wrench and someone's going to jump up and take JJ McCarthy with the third pick. You're like, oh snap! No, wait, that pushes everybody else down. What do I? Oh man, well I didn't know he was going to be here, and that's why you got to lean on your board. Like, who is this, and this, and some people you think might not be there, but you're going to run draft scenarios like, what if? What if he falls? What if they have a run on quarterbacks and you have the number one defensive end in the draft, in the number one defensive player looking at you at 9? What do? Do you trade back? Do you keep it? So yeah, there's a whole bunch of things. I think they're going to trade back, but if one of their 3 players, and I don't know who's on their board, obviously, I've been waiting for a call back from Ryan Poles. He hasn't got back to me yet, but I've been waiting.
He's a little busy,
make time for your boy, But I think if he has maybe one of his top 3 players there, I think he stays and takes him, whether it's Malik Neighbors or Romeo Dunze or Jared Verse or the other guy from Dallas Turner. If they're there, he might take those. So it's all how it plays out, man. And again, if you get some dude who throws a monkey wrench in the whole program, man, you got to be ready for it. Improvise, overcome, adapt.
Yeah. We have a. Sorry, go ahead, Brandon. My bad.
Yeah, Sean, I was curious. I know you've shown a lot of love and support, as many fans have, for Justin Fields throughout his career. This might be the first year we can say Ryan Poles has actually built the foundation on offense for a quarterback to succeed in. I'm curious to know, do you think that the underseasoned veteran that was Justin Fields or the gunslinging phenom that is Caleb Williams, which of those quarterbacks would do better in the system that Poles is putting together this year?
I'm a little biased. I was a big Fields fan, and they never did anything. They didn't do right by him. Okay, they didn't do, his first year with Nagy. Although I will say this, Nagy developed him pretty well. All right, it's just that he couldn't. He was running his whole life and getting sacked, and so you couldn't see it. But if you watch film, all right, and this is funny when people, I love when people pay for something and they want to mock or parrot what someone else says. But I watch film. All right, I was a coach for 15 years. I know not only do I watch film, I know what to look for on film. Watch his footwork. If you look at his footwork, most of his throws are on time. Most of his throws are in rhythm. And then Getsy comes and he changes everything. He changes the footwork. If you notice, he would step back with his left foot first with Getsy, and that throws the timing off, and it's really, really crazy. I think if we had someone to develop. If Nagy, as bad as a play caller as Nagy was, he was developing him well. I think Justin, if he was with Shane Waldron, I think the biggest thing, I think Justin might have done better. One, that's not his first rodeo. All right, he's been in the NFL for a while. All right, 2, he has a command of that locker room. Okay, there's a big thing, and that's one of the things that people don't get. All right, what's his name? Danimal. I mentioned Jim McMahon. Now you tell me, was Jim McMahon the best quarterback in the NFL back in 1985?
No.
I won't tell you what he called him, but I thought he was
called
a
him a
good
monkey driving the limo.
So it's the thing.
It was one hell of a limo, though.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is,
it's coming from Dan because he's not a fan of quarterbacks at all.
No, but the thing about it was he's a leader of men. All right, if you can't say that Jim McMahon did not run that team, was not the leader of that team. You cannot say that. And that was the thing. And that was the thing with Justin. Justin led that team. Yep. And it's not always stats that win. And I know everyone's like, "Well, it's a different game. It's a passing league." Well, Justin can pass. I don't know if you saw that game in the a couple years ago in the college football championship. Yeah, he did pretty well. He made the college football championship twice. Okay, so it's not that he can't pass; it's that he hadn't been developed. And people get upset about it. The coaching matters. Coaching matters. And you know what? He hadn't been developed to that point. And now that they have coaches who have a track record of developing people, and Shane Waldron, they decided to get rid of him. All right. If he was fortunate enough to have Shane Waldron, I think Justin would just literally tear it up. And I'm not saying, and my thing is, I'm not saying Caleb is not good. I'm not saying Caleb won't be good. I'm not saying Caleb won't be great. I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the better person for this job would have been Justin Fields. I mean, that's a moot point at this stage. Okay.
Well,
but because you've got coaches, because we'll never know, because you're not, whoever's stepping into that role as quarterback isn't stepping into the same Bears team in 2021 that Justin Fields stepped into with a horrible offensive line, with Demir Bird and Pettis, and I know you had A-Rob for 1 year, so I can't say that. But you also had EQ St. Brown. Look at the receiving core he had. Look at the offensive line he had. Ask him about the Cleveland game if you remember. Though he might have too much PSD. Okay, so this quarterback, whoever it is stepping into a much better situation. So if he does excel, people say, "Well, see, look at he's better all the time." Well, no, he's got a staff behind him. You name me one quarterback in the NFL who you think is good, I'll show you who developed him. I'll give you the name of the guy who developed him. All right. He hadn't had
what's
that.
the timeline on that development though? You know, because he's about to he if he stayed, he would have been going into his third offensive system in 4 years.
No. It's pretty much the same system. One of the biggest things is this guy's a teacher. This guy's a teacher. And being a former teacher and a former coach, if they don't teach the way you learn the way you teach, then you better teach the way that they learn. And Shane Waldron has shown that he's been able to accept and he's been able to adapt his style from Russell to Geno. Okay. And yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he didn't have any faults, Justin Fields. Not saying that at all. He had issues that needed to be worked on. But hence, that's where coaching comes in. And when you're not coached, that's it. I had this year before when they drafted Keenan Allen, I was like, holy cow! I'm looking at 3,500 yards minimum. 3,500 yards. You got Keenan Allen, you got DJ Moore, you have Cole Kmet, you got the other tight end they just signed, you got great running backs out of the back. DeAndre Swift is phenomenal out of the backfield. I'm like, if he doesn't get 3,500 yards minimum, that's probably missing a game or two because you got then there'd be an issue. So it would have been this year and this year alone because there's things you pick up as the game goes on, but there's things that you need a coach for because otherwise, why do we have coaches?
So do you think Justin Fields takes that final step that I think it's pretty clear he didn't take here in Chicago? Do you think he takes that step if he gets the opportunity in Pittsburgh?
I do, because he's going to have a situation that many great quarterbacks had, or some great quarterbacks have, and that's to sit. He was supposed to sit. That was his plan. That was the plan for his first year in 2021.
He was started too early.
Yeah, and not only that, but you're sitting behind a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He wrestles a little weird and whatever you want to say about him personally, but the dude's a winner. Yeah. All right, he hoisted the Lombardi Trophy, and if that play wasn't called, if he just turned around and handed off to beast mode, he's a 2-time Super Bowl winner. Okay, so yeah, and I think he learns. He's going to get in, of course. He's not going to sit the whole season. He's going to get in. Okay, but you sit behind them. You sit behind the offensive coordinator. You learn, and maybe the offensive coordinator adjusts some of the things, basically his footwork, and hopefully, and I think the biggest thing is the motivation, is him getting traded, is all the vitriol from the pro Caleb people, and talking about he's a bum, he's this, he's that, and and it's horrible. Like if you watch what he did in Ohio State. Like you don't take your team to the college football championship if you're not good. And people make excuses. Well, he had great receivers, a great line. Isn't that the point of NFL teams, is to get a great team? Yeah. So it's and again, I'm not saying Caleb's not going to do well. I'm not saying that at all. Caleb may come in and do well immediately because he has 2 Pro Bowl receivers. He's got 2 great tight ends, running back. He's got a guy. This is the most important thing. He's got the guy to develop him. That's the most important thing. You think CJ Stroud just comes in and throws it and leads that team last year because just because he's good? No, there's a lot of quarterbacks that are good. If you're not developed properly, if a system isn't molded to your skill set, you're going to have problems. And we'll see how well CJ Stroud does when Bobby Slowick leaves. I thought he was going to leave this year, but he stayed an extra year. When he becomes a head coach next year, after the following year, after 24, we're going to see how he did. Look how Josh Allen faltered, right? When Brian Daboll left to become the coach of the New York Giants. He's not the same Josh Allen. There's still a good traits. He's still good. He's not the same Josh Allen as he was a couple of years ago. So we'll see how it plays out.
Oh, I wanted Daboll so bad too, man. That'd be awesome. I like what this guy Jeff Schultz said. It's no excuses this year. It's playoff or bust.
Yeah,
and that kind of curtails with what you were talking about on your show and Chicago Bears Central. Everybody's basically saying the same thing. They're like, it is playoffs or bust, but let's keep this in a perspective, okay? All the pressure doesn't go, and I would say this even if it was Justin, all the pressure doesn't go to the quarterback. Matter of fact, we just said that because of Justin. So let's say that because of Caleb. All the pressure, or any quarterback in this position, all the pressure doesn't go to the quarterback. We've increased and made our offensive line better. We've had depth to the defensive line through free agency. We've added depth and re-signed our cornerback. We got our safety, tight end, wide receiver, the best catching running back that Swift. I like everything that they've done, but all those people still have to do their job, and whoever is under center needs to do their job, but it doesn't go to one particular guy. So I'm arguing the same thing about Justin as I'm arguing about the incoming quarterback. So as a team, we all have to come together, because I've seen some great teams get the bed, and I'm like, what the hell just happened? They should have done really great, and and sometimes it'd be like that. And like you said, like you just said, Sean, the coaches have to coach. I like that shirt that you wear too. It's great.
Oh, coaching matters.
Coaching matters.
It does.
It really does.
I disagree with you on the point that let's fall on the quarterback, because you did get everything. All right, you did get 2 stud receivers. You did actually add an extra tight end to one that was already a top 10 tight end. You did add another a phenomenal running back.
But they still have to do their job. They still have to do their job. They can't drop balls.
I think Caleb Williams is gonna too.
I think he's gonna do well, because
I think there's one member of the organization whose seat is heating up on the Bears organization. It's Matt Eberflus. I don't think anybody else is in jeopardy.
Oh yeah, hands down.
Yeah. I think they had a conversation. I think Ryan Pohl, why he kept him, was he's like, look, here's what I'm going to do to your defense. All right, I got to get out of cap hell. All right, and that's where I wasn't going to go back and forth with Dan, because I could barely hear him. But he was talking about whether they saw Justin Fields win a Super Bowl for him. I'm like, no, I said they were in cap hell. That was the whole reason. That was the reason they had to gut all and get rid of all those high priced guys. They were in cap hell. But I digress. I think they had to have a conversation, and Pohl said, look, here's what I'm going to do to the defense. It's going to rock your soul, because you're a defensive coordinator at heart. I'm going to gut this team to basically semi-pro players. Okay. And you take the heat for it then. All right. He goes, and I'll take the heat for you in 2024 as I rebuild it. In 2025, once we have that defense, once we upgrade the offense, then can I truly evaluate you? Because you can't evaluate a coach when you shed a defensive coach and you take away his defense. Yeah. And if you don't think that affects the offense, again, and one of the things that, they gave up 33 points a game in that 14-game losing streak. The Bears averaged 30 points 5 times in that 5 consecutive weeks in that losing streak, and the record was 1-4. You can't expect to shoot out with receivers who suck. So I'm sure they had that thing like we'll truly evaluate you in 2024.
Jay Sanders just left a comment stating that the Chicago Bears consistently put QBs in bad situations. That's what he said.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this. This situation, the current situation, this current state of the Bears in which Caleb Williams will be drafted to, I mean, could you make it any harder for a player to fail a first overall quarterback draft in the NFL? Could you make it any harder for a player? Usually, I agree, the Bears put quarterbacks in situations which are hard to succeed. Could you make it any harder to fail than it is right now?
Look, I can go into this situation right now. At least and I can barely jog up the stairs right now with my bad knees. Like, look, there's no reason. Like, watching the tape, if you just put on the tape with Caleb, there's no reason why this kid literally coming out the gate, he's not throwing more than 35 to 40 touchdowns this year. And I'm just saying, that's just how I see it. Like, no one in our division right now defensively can hold Keenan Allen. They proved that last year, and they don't got half of those guys now because they gone. You got a bunch of rookies and guys who aren't very good. Let's just put that. I'm being respectful. They're not very good. They can't hold Keenan Allen. They damn sure can't hold DJ. And now we added more weapons on top of that.
And we appreciate the comment, Jay Sanders.
Yeah,
like, I mean, like I don't see us faltering. Like, this team is literally, if we get 10 wins should be the floor with this roster. Yeah. And that's just off the defense alone. The weaker schedule and the way to pan out who we play first and things like that. That's neither here nor there.
But Leroy, can I ask you a question? If the Bears don't win 10 games and Caleb Williams has a really good season, do you still consider it a failing season for the Bears organization? Do you think Poles should be in jeopardy of losing his job if the quarterback succeeds?
If the quarterback succeeds and we're like at 9-8, I don't think Poles should be at jeopardy. However, I do feel that Matt Eberflus needs to go then because this team, this roster is way too talented for us to be going 9.
Yeah, that's why, as I referred to earlier, I think he is the only person in this organization whose seat is heating up.
I'm sorry, that's the roster. I don't care how good the defense goes. If you wind up going 9-8 with this roster, does not matter who the quarterback was. Like even if it was Fields, Eberflus got to go.
I just think
here's what worries me about our roster. We're one injury away from our offensive line looking bootylicious. I mean, our right tackle is the anchor of our offensive line, and Tevin Jenkins and Nate are forever injured. We don't know what's going on with that. And this guy that we picked up from the Rams, he had one full season as a starter with Matthew Stafford. And our left tackle has no ass. He can't anchor. We have a lot of holes that still have yet to be taken care of. We got a guy that everybody will agree is the best short, shallow cross receiver in the NFL. And who was the worst shallow cross passer in the NFL? Justin Fields. The writing was on the wall. But the problem is that guy, Keenan Allen, can't stay healthy. If he goes down, if DJ Moore gets loaded up again, we put all this money, $23 million, on Keenan Allen, and we're thinking that we got 2 number 1 wide receivers. What about Sweat? Sweat goes down. Who else is going to make our team? We saw what our defense looked like before we had Sweat, and I guarantee you, Jalen Johnson does not get that payday without Sweat showing up. There's no way, no how, because we saw how he played the year before. He decided to let everybody know that he was a sex maniac and he had issues, okay? I'm just saying, we've got a lot of stuff in the building that we need to work out. So everybody has to show up, stay healthy, do their job. The coach still has to execute. And I remember when Justin Fields, he looked like Superman at the end of the last preseason. He was running all over, faster than the word of God, throwing darts down the field. He looked great Then he gets on there and he proclaims that I'm really shocked about the speed in the NFL. I thought it'd be a lot faster. Great. Let's give everybody a reason to tee off on your ass. And all of a sudden, Chicago's not even on the freaking radar, but this kid's like, bring it. And guess what? He realized very fast that the NFL speed, no matter how awesome of an athlete is, and he looks like a freaking Greek god with his shirt off. Please keep it on, Justin, because you embarrassed me with my freaking dad bod, okay? But it doesn't matter. Muscle after muscle, that speed in the NFL is different. So all these guys, Caleb, whoever's coming in here, whether it be the LSU kid, whoever you got, Drake May, it better not be Drake May. I've heard people are going to storm the freaking gates if it's Drake May. But whoever it is that we got, Sean,
I'll lead the charge.
Exactly. And I'll put you on my shoulders. Here's the deal. We have to understand that things don't go our way. Sean, you know as well as anybody, you can be the best coach and you can tell these kids everything, but they have to freaking execute. So there's a lot of stuff left to be unsaid. I will tell you one thing. The best guy that I've seen, and I listened to all the freaking guys talk about LeBron James. He was playing McDonald, Irish, whatever, high school, and he's going to pass up my Kobe Bryant, my Michael Jordan. Nonsense. Y'all are stupid. Y'all are talking crap. He ain't going to be as great as them. He ain't going to be as magnificent. Oh, well, LeBron this, LeBron that. I didn't even want to see LeBron by the time freaking national news got a hold of this kid. Guess what? His first year, he had 33 wins. In contrast, if you take the amount of games that they play, 82 wins, and you stack that up with the amount of games that they play in the NFL, that's 7 wins. If we have 7 wins this year and he progresses like Brandon says and the offense looks good and we're actually not throwing a bunch of interceptions and we're not fumbling the ball and we look like we're building and we beat the Green Bay Packers is at least once, is that enough for us, or do we really have to do this playoff thing? These are all questions. I'm not saying anything. I'm serving it up for you guys. let's talk about it. Let's get it off our chest.
Playoffs.
100% that if
Who
he's
said playoffs? Was that
has a-
Sean?
Playoffs only. That's
Yeah,
the only
with
thing that's acceptable. That's the only thing that's acceptable because people they'll jump on again. I'll never absolve Justin from his shortcomings. Okay, I never did. All right, I talked about him. I even did a rant on him. Okay,
Yeah.
but when you got people like Darnell Mooney missing blocks on 4th and 1, okay, because you have Darnell Mooney trying to block a defensive end and Justin gets tripped up. Okay, if Justin makes that first down, we win that game. Okay, that's 8 wins. I mean, we had a chance to win 10 games. Let's not act like the defense didn't give up those points as well. Okay, so some of the things that you're calling screens left and right on 3rd, and you know what I mean. Then you're doing the tush push. That's why I asked Justin after one of the games when I was in the press room. I was like, "Do you have a jumbo, a jumbo package where you can, you bring in an offensive lineman, okay, and you put him in motion, have him lead block or do something like that instead of this tush push or lateral screens, which is the dumbest thing in the world. Let's not forget all the stupid play calls that were called on 3rd and 1, because in those key drives when you have to put them away, you're running screens, you're running tush push, you're running these stupid plays. You want to get cute, and when you don't use your fullback, why the hell do we have one of like 2 or 3 teams in the NFL with a fullback? Why didn't you use him on 3rd down, 3rd and short, 4th and short? Why didn't you do like the Niners? Hell, they'll take Trent Williams out of his left tackle spot. He reports as eligible. He goes in motion, and he clears the way on the right side behind the fullback or in front of a fullback and a tailback behind him. Why couldn't we do that? All those things. If we do that, we have 10 wins. It's a different story. It's a 10-7 season. We might be in the playoffs.
But
Okay,
I think a few of the games the Bears, a few of the close games the Bears lost, I personally believe were heavily in part due to Justin Fields' performance in the final minutes of the game. mean,
I
they had
agree
a
too. The
42
fourth quarter
passer
speaks
rating.
otherwise. And we had 2 wins by a backup quarterback who the only thing that everybody knows about him is his daddy's an arm wrestler. So
Well,
that's 2 wins that you can't give Fields or the rest of the team. That went to that guy and the rest of the team. That's 2 wins right there, because every year for 3 years, and this is how bootylicious our offensive line is. In 3 years, that man had not had one healthy season, no matter how much weight you push or how many vegan proteins you suck down your palate. You cannot freaking take yourself and put yourself in a 125, 130 sack situation in less than 3 seasons. In contrast, Peyton Manning had 300 sacks in 18 seasons. Now, you look at wear and tear and you look at what happened to our awesome running back who looked great over in Lions with Montgomery. It wasn't that he wasn't great. It's not that Fields is not going to be great. It's that they have to do their due diligence with wear and tear. Is it fair? No. But guess what? When you get drafted in the top 10, you know you're going to go to the top 10 worst teams in the NFL. And if you're going to start and you don't have somebody to behind, guess what? You know what you're getting into. You sign it on the dotted line. And that's just a part of life. It's like, grow the fuck up. You know that's what you're getting into. You know that's what you're getting into. And I was the first one that was like, wait a second. Am I sleep deprived? I've been waiting so long for this draft. Did they finally get it right? Did they went out and get Justin Fields from Ohio State? This is freaking awesome. Praise you. Thank you, baby Jesus. But at the end of the day, he's not in the building anymore, folks. But he knew that was part of the freaking business. Now he's going over to freaking Seattle to learn from Russell Wilson. And from what I hear we're going to have Jim Miller on our show Sunday, Lord willing, it'll work out. He is going to break it down for us, like from his skill set, not from 99, I want to sack everybody and kill every quarterback ever, or an offensive line bonehead like me. He's going to tell us from his skill set what he thought about Justin Fields, what he thinks about the incoming whoever quarterback it's going to be, what it's all going to be about, and what's going to happen. And I'm really excited because I want to hear from a quarterback what they see. One thing that I did like when we had Curtis Conway on, which I didn't know until I did my homework, that he was an All-American freaking quarterback before he was a receiver, was that there is a different film that quarterbacks watch in their specific quarterback room. And basically what it is not what we see on fucking TV, not what we see on YouTube, not what we see on freaking the highlights. Someone's
Or the all
freaking
22s. Yeah. You don't see
super
it.
highlights when I'm listening to the freaking beat music and I'm asking everybody in the chat, like, hey man, what music is this? And they're like, dude, old man, you should know that it's this guy. He even says it in the damn song. But he's talking about where he's sitting there and you could see the whole line and from the progression of the quarterback. He goes, I can't make my assessment and my judgment on these quarterbacks until I see that. But everybody else in the whole entire world can tell everybody that they've seen all this film, but this guy cannot tell us. Curtis Conway, top 5 of 100 Chicago Bears in 104 years. He will not put his name on it until he sees that freaking tape. But everybody else can tell us what's going on with these guys and if they're good or bad, whatever. So
there's access to all 22, man. There's access to all 22, and you're able to get that for a fee. NFL gives that to you. You just got to pay. You got to pay for it, and if you do, fine. And a lot of people understand. There's a lot of people like me who can break down tape. I'm not the only person in the world who breaks down tape. And there's a lot of people who break down tape, and a lot of people that's their show. All right, so you can see a lot. People can make different assessments of it, but it's also. I realize, when people say, well, the film never lies and this, I'm like, no, because I'd had a couple arguments with some trolls, and they're saying, it's all on the tape.
They don't back
lie,
down over
and
it.
it's non. What do they say? It doesn't lead. It's not partial, something like that. And I said, no, it's not. I said,
not leading the witness.
I said, but when you put all bad plays together, or if someone doesn't understand what's going on and someone has an agenda and they lead you to this, then all of a sudden now you can actually you can lead the witness. Because there was one particular one where it was the Green Bay game. I think it was here. No, shoot. Well, it might have been the last game. So he throws you may have seen it. He throws the ball to Cole Kmet up the seam, and DJ Moore had a slant. And people were like this, and everyone ripped Justin Fields. Why are you doing this? This is horrible. Get it to your yak guy. He should have thrown it right here and here and here. But you look at it. No, DJ wasn't covered, but Quay Walker, number 7, was leaning toward DJ. He was waiting for that ball to go, and one, it's going to get picked, or two, DJ's going to get lit the hell up. And so when Justin Fields takes his hand off the ball to throw, Quay Walker actually takes a false step toward toward DJ Moore, because he thinks DJ Moore is going to get the ball, because he's thinking he's getting it to his yak guy. But he throws to Cole Kmet for a gain of 8, 9, or 10, whatever it was, and people eviscerated Justin Fields. And I'm like, so when you say that, and you get to know people who don't know football, and you trust someone, and they say he should have done this, he's horrible, then you think, well, he's horrible, he should have done that. But when you think about it, who do you want to get involved in a game first? You want to get your tight end who doesn't get a lot of passes? You want to get him involved early. Okay, because if you need him late and all he's been doing is blocking everything, there's a flow that goes with guys who don't get a lot of passes. All right, DJ Moore, he can get involved like that. One play, he's gone. And that one play, he probably wasn't going to break. All right, and so when you get things like that, when you see film like that, and people lead the masses a certain way, that's wrong. And, and I wasn't on any shows, because had I seen that, I'd been like, no. What if he wants to get his tight end involved? I said, and look at Quay Walker was leaning toward Justin Fields. So you want Justin Fields to get knocked the hell out or a pick? And then now you're just, oh, stupid Justin, didn't you see number 7? It's all how you present it. Yeah. And people will try and lead it, because some people are very good at breaking down film, and most people are not. If you have an agenda, which a lot of people do, they can lead the witness or the match.
Well, Jim Miller is amazing. Back against the Lions, he was talking about keeping Justin Fields and drafting somebody and doing what Jeff Schultz said, having somebody sit behind Justin and compete, whatever, and let that person work behind him, which is exactly what you're supposed to do. And Jim Miller talked about 2 things. I think it was like Green Bay and maybe the Jets. I can't remember which ones it was, but it was healthy competition, and it actually worked out. It was a great thing, and he thought it was a great idea. He talked about this, months ago, and every so often I'd hear podcasts bring this up, whatever. Another thing that he talked about was how he needs to let his balls drop. basically. He needs to let it hang out. If you get a coach that gives you a dumbass freaking play like Getsy, you say, no, this is what Jimmy Mack said on my podcast when I had him back last August or whatever it was, or July. He said that he loved Ditka, coached the team up right, but he didn't know shit about offense. And so he would take the ball into his hands. He'd execute the play. The play would go down the field. They would score. Then Ditka was like, what was that all about? He goes, listen here. You shut the fuck up. You don't know nothing about offense. This is my offense. I'm going to run it the way I want to run it. And that's what he did. And that's what Justin Fields needs to do. He needs to let him hang out. He needs to do this because this is one part where Jim Miller said Justin Fields actually injured himself. Naked bootleg left. Instead of dropping it off to his drop-off receiver, or he said, no, his back or his tight end, he ran up the field. And instead of even bouncing out, he went right in on impact, and that's where he injured his freaking hand. So a lot of these things can be avoided, and there's only a few collisions as a quarterback where, and Dan Hampton, he didn't really get into it, but I've had a couple interviews with Dan, and I knew where he's going with all this about if you're a wide receiver, you could play on special teams. If you're a backup, you can go elsewhere, whatever. When you get picked to be the starting quarterback, it's you either make it or you bust it, and you either win or you lose, and fair or unfair, that's how they judge you, man. And that's basically what it is. I thought he had a horrible situation, but rewind, you can't say, well, listen, I don't want to go to Chicago. You guys got a crappy situation. You got no receivers. You got no tight end. You got no defense. Your cap struggling, whatever. You can't do any of that. It's life, man. It's unfair. It's an unfair situation. But now moving forward, whoever the quarterback's going to be, now all these good things are going to be available, but they all still got to be right. Yes, it's playoffs or bust, and I'm sure they were saying the same thing about LeBron when he got his 33 wins. But fast forward, he had a pretty damn good career. So, I like a guy named Baker Mayfield where, hey, man, suck it up, Fields. You might end up having to go the Baker Mayfield route and look pretty fantastic and make a boatload of money somewhere else. And I think he's going to have a pretty good career over in Tampa. I'm happy for him, man. I love to see people win. I hope Justin gets that. I think he's going to learn a hell of a lot more from the Steelers organization with Tomlin and all of that. And that's another thing. He said that he revitalized what was that quarterback that played in Tennessee for a while? And the head coach from Atlanta that's now the offensive coordinator, Arthur, Tannehill and another quarterback, he helped revitalize his career, and he feels really good about Justin and also Russell Wilson and all that. So they're actually, hopefully, I don't know, do you think that they have the money and the infrastructure to do that, Sean, where they could keep both of these guys together until it's time to let Justin take over?
No, I mean, Russell's a rental. They're paying him $1 million, dude. They pay their employees. Their seat check. Their Andy Frain guys more in 1 week. Come on, he's $1 million.
But Sean, you're good with numbers. What would it look like? You already probably know what it's going to cost for the 5th-year option for Justin.
20.
What would it look like if you tried to keep him and then extend Russell one more year? What would that look like?
You're not giving him his 5th-year option because that's $23 to $25 million somewhere in there. You're not giving that to Justin at all. All right, you're going to, as a Pittsburgh Steelers, you're going to decline it. Okay, and then you can say, okay, now we're going to work. If we want you, we're going to work on a contract. So he might get for $3 or $4 million a year. Okay, as a bat, and you're going to compete. If they want Russ is going to want a lot more than that, and Russ is going to want to be the starter. And if there's a chance that the backup can outplay him, he's not going to want to stay. He's not going to want to stay at all. Believe me.
Wait. I'm sorry. You're breaking news to me, bro. I'm sorry. I'm a little like. So as a backup, you can't do a 5th-year option on a backup?
You could, but do you want to pay your backup $25 million?
So that's what it is. You don't pay them backup wages as a 5th-year option.
Because he's still on a rookie He's still on the rookie deal.
Okay, thank you.
So he's getting $6 million this year. I think he's only getting I mean, he's getting $6 million next year.
Yeah.
They're only paying him $6 million on a cap hit. I think they're only paying like $2.5 million. But then the following season, it's 24, 25, somewhere in there. And you're definitely not picking that up. Not for Justin. No way.
So I got a lot of people here, trying to get trying to move on from the Justin stuff. I'm hearing a lot of people saying, a lot of the Caleb talking here saying that, he might bust or, yada, yada, things like that. But the thing is that, we were talking about with Justin about, how he needed to, let his balls drop kind of situation.
Yeah.
I think that part of the makeup and part of the reason why Caleb was so sought after as opposed to Fields was that mental makeup. And it was because of that. It was those situations. Maybe they see that Caleb isn't going to sit there and just be like, that's the play. I'm not going to disrespect my coaches, yada, 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 be the good guy in those situations. Caleb, don't sit to me to be that type of guy. He seems to be more the Aaron Rodgers mindset, kind of like, who the hell you think you are? I'm the one that's out there. I'm not going to get my ass killed because you want to call that stupid play. If I don't think the play gonna work, I'm finna run this. And Caleb seems to be the type, and I see a lot of people in the chat saying that he played hero ball. That the situation that he was in the USC was kind of like what we dealt with Fields here. He had to play. He had no choice. The only difference is that he rose to the occasion and was able to still put up the decent numbers. The defense still let him down, kind of like what Fields was going through. We see that he has those same capabilities. I've stated on my show several times now that I feel that Fields and Caleb are literally one and the same as far as, their physical makeup, except that, that Caleb's just shorter. He's just a shorter, slower version of Justin Fields. However, that mental block that Fields had where he, just doesn't, where he's just like, fuck you kind of thing. Caleb has it. Fields doesn't. And I feel that that's what's going to get Caleb to this level faster than Fields will. And I think that's the issue. And I think Poles saw that. He saw the writing on the wall that part of Fields isn't something he's going to overcome right away, and that Caleb already has it. I think Caleb's going to be able to – Caleb's not afraid to sit there and tell his offensive coordinator, like, hey, this isn't working.
Thanks, Jeff.
He's going to be able to dissect it and, analyze it quickly and be like, look, this play isn't going to work against this defense. This coverage is eating this alive.
Caleb said in his post-pro day interview, I hate to run the football.
That I don't like running. Yeah.
He will do it if he has to, but he would prefer to get the ball to his playmakers.
Which I think he keeps his eyes down the field. I think Justin Fields preferred to run the ball.
He does that, and it drives me crazy because I'm watching too. I'm watching Sean. You know how you catch yourself when you're watching college ball, right? And then the next day you're watching NFL, right? My Bears. So I've got two quarterbacks that are very similar. You guys are all saying the same thing, and it drives me crazy because sometimes I forget who I'm watching. And I'll watch Caleb. Caleb will take off. He'll scramble, this, that. He'll take off. Then he'll pull up, and then he'll dart the ball out and throw the ball. All the time keeping his eyes down the field and up, and then making that pass.
I don't think.
And I'm looking at all this open real estate, and I'm like, who's going to tell these guys?
I don't think Fields and Caleb are very similar players.
The ball, and I'm like, whoa.
They're similar. They're similar as far as the way they process, the holding the ball, the flaws. They have the similar flaws and similar attributes. Both have the strong arm. Both have this innate ability to get out of the pocket when the pocket breaks down. They can get out of the situation. That's where they're similar. And the only difference is that one sees open fields and runs, the other sees an opportunity to go and get you with the dagger. He's trying to get the ball to the playmaker.
Justin got so much better last year. Justin would take off because he had to in 21 and 22. He had to. But last year, there were plenty of plays where he step up in the pocket because he's pressure, and then he'd go along the line of scrimmage and look for a receiver. He did that a lot more last year in 23 than he did in 22. 22, he was just running to save his freaking life. All right, you cut down the defense. Teams are scoring at will. You're back out there again with very little rest, and the defense is breathing down your neck. He just said, "I'm running." And then again, his receiving core. Last year, he did a phenomenal job, a much better job, not phenomenal, a much better job of getting up through the stepping up in the pocket and then buying time by getting to the sideline and looking for a receiver. When in 22, he would have just run the ball.
Well,
and last year he did that a lot.
I'm not stating everything that Caleb's able to do at the collegiate level is going to translate to the NFL.
Definitely
but I'm going
not.
to be honest.
Definitely not.
I don't think there's very many players that are comparable to Caleb Williams the way he's played in college for the last 3 seasons. I really don't. And I'm not making a comparison here. The only game that when I watch his motion, his arm angles, the way he throws the ball, the only player that I find to be even remotely comparative is Patrick. It really is, but I'm not saying that's what it's going to equate to. Like I said, it might all not translate to the NFL level, but Justin Fields and Caleb Williams to me are 2 very different style players. I know they're both mobile, they're both athletic, they're both able to extend plays and move the pocket. But when it comes to the actual velocity on the football, like it's effortless for Caleb Williams. And Justin Fields has been labeled many times by many sources as an arm thrower. He almost doesn't put too much core into his throws, whereas Caleb Williams it looks like he's throwing a baseball. The guy flips his wrist and the ball goes 65 yards. It's something I haven't seen before.
Hips.
I'm not trying to be overhyped. I have not seen a lot of players play like Caleb Williams before.
Well,
I agree with you. And
the thing with that is that you talk arm, there's nothing that, and this is just from me watching, there's nothing that any quarterback in the NFL can do that Justin can't do. I mean, physically, all right, running, there's really only him and Lamar. All right, but you talked about arm angles. Don't you remember the Patriot game where the dude jumped up where is a screen to Khalil Herbert and he about to throw it, and the dude jumps up, would have been blocked. He drops sidearm, literally sidearm underneath the arms of the defensive end who jumped.
I don't think Justin's he doesn't use his core too much. I don't see a lot of core. Justin Fields doesn't throw from his core. I think he's been pretty
more of a baseball thing,
widely criticized for it.
Yeah,
He's an
Kurt
arm
Warner
thrower.
says that he torques his hips. He gets
He's an arm thrower. He throws with his arm.
Yeah. It's more of a baseball.
Kurt Warner also said how Darnell Wright and Caleb's hands. Caleb's hands are actually bigger than our offensive lineman, Darnell Wright. And that's why they think that when he was warming up on pro day, he was throwing 50-yard bombs with his left hand, just warming up, just joking around and stuff. He takes an hour and a half. He talks to Tom Brady, right? He spends an hour and a half contorting and working out. He's not working out as a wide receiver or running back. He's getting his body in position to throw the football, which is what you have to do as a quarterback. And he contorts it. He tries all these different angles and stuff. And it's kind of cool. It's like watching that really and then he finishes the whole camp by punting the ball 45 yards. I was like, this is great. We just get rid of our punter. Let's just have him punt too, Let's do it the old Sandlot days where men were men and like guys like freaking Sean had 4 different positions on the freaking
I want to take a quick break and say we got over 110 in the chat.
110 in the chat.
Thank you,
Sean.
guys. What's up?
Thanks, everybody.
Please like, share, subscribe, baby. Like, share, subscribe. We appreciate the love and the good vibes and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? It feels good. We appreciate you guys coming in and making the comments, and it gives us, we enjoy doing this. It's not, we don't get paid to do this. This is just because we're football guys and love the game, at heart. This is what we do. We love our Bears. So if you want us to keep giving you this great content, please hit that like button, subscribe, and check us out. Just check us out. Come along for the ride with us. We appreciate you guys. Thank you.
So we've been kind of stuck on this whole quarterback carousel, but we actually had a couple other questions that I have out in our agenda that I want to ask Sean really quick. And one mostly is, what do you want to see done with the second pick that we have in the draft at the number 9, Sean?
Well, we talked about it. It all depends on who's there. It all depends on who's there. I mean, if one of the guys on their board is there, one of the top 3 guys are on the board. I mean,
but you never answered the question. Who do you want? Who do
I want? Well, I guess the question was, what do they think they're going to do with the pick? I pick a receiver, but I don't know who we're going to get. Who do I want? I want Marvin Harrison Jr., but we're not going to get him at 9. So,
how far is he supposed to fall since he wasn't at his pro day? I heard he's fallen.
Well,
nah.
What do you see? When I said that earlier, when you're that high when you're that high of a prospect, you don't need a pro day. What do you look at my film? All right, what am I going to do in shorts and a t-shirt that I haven't done? That doesn't do shit. All right, this is all scripted. I'm in my house with my quarterback in my practice facility. All right, why don't you look at the film where I'm beating DBs, where I'm jumping over DBs, where I'm running away from DBs? That's what you need to look at, not at a pro day. Pro day. I mean, truthfully, I think pro days are for those second and third tier players to try and elevate themselves and get on the radar. But those top prospects, just look at the tape, look at the film. You don't got to worry. I don't know why a lot of them do it, and a lot of them sometimes do it, as we talked about earlier, for the benefit of their guys, the second, third tier players who may need a little bump up. Okay, they look really, they had a couple nice plays in the season. Let me just check them out. Let me get next to him, see him physically, check him out, and see how comfortable he is with all this pressure. Because that's another thing. There's pressure on you. All right, I know you're with your guy, but like you're not supposed to drop a pass. No balls are supposed to hit the ground. Okay, that's a lot of pressure. And sometimes coaches want to say, hey, listen, let's see what this guy does. Let's see what this guy does when he knows everyone's looking at him. And if he shows out pretty well in the interview, cool.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so he's not falling, and Sean wants to get him at 9. So
you said who I wanted. You said who I wanted. You didn't say who I think they're going to get. That's the two different questions.
I'm asking you who you want. We're just hypothetically talking that Sean's the GM, like you do on your show. So we get a quarterback. You haven't said what quarterback you want us to pick up. Which quarterback do you want us to get?
I still want to trade down, and I know that takes us out of the Caleb thing. All right, but I don't have a problem trading down to trading with Washington, getting Jaden Daniels, and then maybe a Malik Neighbors. So it's happened a couple times. You got guys who are in there with their college, their wide receiver with their college quarterback, and I think that would be very, very helpful for the chemistry with them. And now he's got to learn it with the other guys. I would like that combo. For some reason I don't like Drake. Not that I don't like him. I don't want Drake May here. It sounds so bad when I say that, but Jaden Daniels, and Michael Penix might be the best thrower, but he's got too many injury issues. I think and you got 6'4" Jaden Daniels. I personally would like to trade down, and because now you're getting a haul. Now you're getting picks. Now you're getting, because you're building your team for next year. You're building your team next year. The edge class is extremely, extremely strong. So if we don't get a stud edge this year, we can get one next year, and you can continue to build this team. And all these guys are on rookie deals. All these guys are on.
Well, I like what you're saying right there, because we potentially have up to 11 picks next year. And right now, without the TV market being set with the contracts, right now the Bears are currently at 138 million. So now when you force multiply that, you go from 11 picks, which are all potential talent. Those aren't actual NFL players. That's potential talent. So they may or may not actually be talent, but at least you have more in the group that may work out, or at least they're camp bodies or somewhere on the team.
But look at what Poles has done with his first 3 rounds, except for Velus Jones.
Yeah.
All right.
So what about
Jones might have a good, if Shane Waldron uses him well and he produces this year, he's hit on every draft pick in the first 3 rounds. So hell yeah, give me more draft picks from this guy if he's hitting on first 3 rounds.
I've been reading the market value on that first overall pick, though, isn't what Ryan Poles expects from it. I
heard
not
that
from
too.
Washington.
Stated
Not
it would
from
be
Washington.
a pick swap and a second rounder this year and a second rounder next year.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Poles.
It depends who you're talking to, though. I mean, who you're talking? You're talking about Washington?
Washington, yeah, one pick.
Yeah,
back.
It's not going to be very much. Just
no, I agree. I think it might be. I was saying on my show, give him get 3 assets. Obviously, the pick swap is 1, so you take 2, and next year's first and this year's second. If you get that, dude, because we don't know how good Washington's going to be, because it might be a situation where we have another top 10, top 5, top 3 pick if Washington sucks, and I think that's the most important thing, is getting that first from Washington. And even if it's 2, even if it's a first pick this year or next year, but you're not going to you're going to say it, or they're not going to move off of it unless they get at least the pick swap, which is going to be 1 first round pick. But if you get next year's first round, if you don't get that, then it's not happening. And I still think Washington wants it. I think they're going to do everything in their power to do that.
They're going to wait
Because
to draft
But
it
why
off
would
the 3
Washington-
first-round picks. That's what their plan is. They're
Capital.
waiting to the draft off of the 3.
What's that, Dustin?
I agree with Dustin.
Why would you think that Washington would pay that much to move up to draft Caleb Williams in the first place? And
I'll tell you why.
Their guys.
pause it for the Bears, because that team wants to move up one more spot to take this guy that I could take, and they want to do that for a reason because they think he's the best prospect in the draft, right?
Yeah, you're willing to
Hey,
give
and
up
I'll
this
tell you
capital.
what.
I'll tell you why.
They don't want to win. Washington don't want to win.
Yeah, they do.
Chicago proved that they want to win. Caleb wants to know if you want to win. They want to win. They went out and got Keelan Allen. They got DJ Moore. They went out and got a stud running back. They've got 2 verifiable tight ends. They want to win. They got a badass defense to take all that pressure off Caleb. Now you want to go to Booty
And a
Licious
boatload of cap
because I'm
space
from
next year.
Washington. Give me somebody to work with. Y'all just freaking got rid of Montez Sweat, who is now on the Bears. You got rid of Chase Daniels. What am I going there to? Besides, I'm from home. Use your brain. It's not going to work out. He don't want to go there. There's no way he wants to go to Washington. And even if he did, it ain't going to work out because he ain't even got a freaking agent. You got to have an agent to make those kind of moves, man. They already said it.
No, you
gotta
don't.
have an agent.
Well, not to be
No,
not
you
to
don't.
swap the picks. No, that's between the 2 organizations.
No, I'm
If
saying
you want me to
if
ask
he
you,
was
Justin, I'll
supposed-
answer it.
If he was
Yes,
to pull
I
the
would-
Eli,
yeah.
if he was supposed to pull the Eli Manning, they said that you have to have an agent in order to be able to do that.
No, he don't have to do that. I could explain that how he can do that without an agent. But to answer Dustin's question, why would Washington do that? A couple reasons. One, Magic Johnson's part of that group, that ownership group. All right, they're going to want
4%?
return.
4%?
So is he? Does that mean he's not part of the ownership group or not?
How much is he doing?
Is he?
over there?
Is it? But it's a simple. Is he part of the ownership group or not?
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
plays
therefore,
basketball.
they want class. Caleb's from that area.
here's the deal. So yes, Caleb is from that area. They also do want to get a stadium. Okay, and what better way to put asses in the seats than to get the local boy who's going to increase seats because increase attendance. Why? Because no one wants to deal with anything with Washington. They're trying to get the Daniel Snyder stink off of that franchise. The Ravens are kicking ass up in Baltimore, and it's the whole DMV area. Ravens are a lot more popular. Because of what Lamar's done and with that defense and Roquan Smith from former, they're kicking ass over there. So Washington needs to get back up on top because they're one of the blue bloods. So how do you do that? The local kid who's a generational talent to get it. You can put asses in the seats. You want a new stadium? How are you going to get asses in the seats and PSL licensing? The new kid. What happened with the Bulls when they got Derrick Rose? All of a sudden, season tickets went through the roof. Jersey sales went through the roof, and that helps the entire NFL. The jersey sales, but I'm just saying the season tickets is going to go through the roof. Let's not forget it's about money. Yes,
really.
winning's great. Winning is
I
really
heard Chicago
great,
wants
but it's
a new
about money.
stadium.
They
I
started
heard
winning a lot
Chicago
of
wants a
games.
new stadium
They were
too.
lucky as hell to have
Yeah, the
that.
Bears want a new stadium
Bears are
too.
right now.
But-
And we want money. It's all about money. We want money.
I hear you, but you asked me why Washington would
money
do
in the
that.
chat.
That's what I'm telling you. He's doing it.
If
So
he's
then I
such
guess
a
my
homer,
question
if he's
is-
such a homer, why didn't he go play over there in Washington D.C. at some college around there? Why did he go to Oklahoma?
Where's he going to go to play Georgetown?
What?
Where's he going to go play? What school in Washington D.C. is he going to play for?
I said around D.C. Why
There's
did he
nothing
go
in
over
there.
to Oklahoma and then USC, baby? Why
I
did he
think
go to
Jaden
USC?
Daniels would sell tickets for the Commander. I think a Jaden Daniels, a Drake, man. I think
Not
there's
as
a
many
few
tickets
players
as
that
not as
will
many
sell
tickets as Caleb. Not
The
as many
point-
tickets as Caleb.
Was that if a team's paying a haul to move up, it's going to be to draft Caleb Williams. So it's because he's the best player in the draft in everybody's mind, So when you're saying that Washington would do it for those reasons, are you saying that they're not doing it because of his talent? Do you think Jaden Daniels is more talented than Caleb Williams?
So which question do you want me to answer? Both of them.
Yeah, both of them. Yeah, please.
I think that they're doing it one because of his talent.
Okay.
Okay. And because it's just like the Bulls and Derrick Rose. This guy is extremely talented, and by many people, he's a generational talent, although many people have backpedaled off of that label. I don't feel he's a generational talent. I think he was a great college player. I think he can be a great quarterback in the NFL. All right. So they're gonna ride with somebody who's local who can really draw up a lot of interest. As far as his talent with Jaden Daniels, I don't know if Jaden Daniels is as talented as him. But if there's a drop off, I don't think there's much of a drop off. It's like maybe 1A, one and a very close 2. I wouldn't put him 1A, 1B. I would think there's a distinct difference, But when you put him, if we're talking about the Bears, I think Jaden Daniels can do just as well in this new system with everything that's set up as Caleb can.
But he's definitely a guy who needed a year. So he was a guy he was a keep Fields guy. Let Fields play another year. Jaden Daniels can sit behind him and learn. Right now, they've set this up for the guy who you just said is more talented. He is. He has more talent right now. So that's really the play that they've set themselves up for, correct? Like to take Caleb. I mean, teams work. They're talking about trading that, get another number 1 pick, but you're hoping that it turns into what they have right now. So why not just use that right now and get the best guy in the draft? That's kind of where I come from.
And the Bears might do that. And the Bears very well may do that. We don't know what is up Ryan Poles' sleeve.
Yeah, it's
right?
still 50-50. They trade down or they
think what they did when they drafted Keenan Allen, it's like that's not a move you make to bring a rookie quarterback into. Right? This guy's on a $23 million deal, an expiring contract. A coach who's basically going to be on.
Bro.
Goes to Judah, dude.
Oh yeah, he's a big time troll of a lot of us.
Oh, good.
But what I'm saying, like you see, like Eberflus needs to win. We talked about, hey, this guy needs to win, and when the move for Keenan Allen was made, you're like, well, logic says this is a 32-year-old guy, an expiring contract. It's not is he coming over to help develop a rookie and the head coach is on the hot seat after this? But Ryan Poles went a different way.
Yeah, I mean, because they are in that nice spot where they can take a receiver who's in Roma Dunze, who's very similar to him, and that would be a very easy transition. And he learns from Allen, and then the transition from college to the pros for a Caleb Williams. It still makes sense in that regard, especially since the Bears had the cap to spend, and they just traded a 4th-round pick to get him. It's like, I don't know that they would have gotten. I know for sure they wouldn't have gotten a player of his caliber with that pick. So it could have made sense in both directions from my perspective.
But you want to use draft capital on a guy that's with an expiring contract. The guy's not 26 or 28. The guy's 32.
Your rookie quarterback has an easier transition into the NFL. Most certainly. Yes, I think it's worth it because I don't think any rookie, it's been said multiple times, I don't think any rookie quarterback has ever had this setup coming into the league. I don't think
you bring in a receiver on expiring contract while keeping a quarterback on an expiring contract. If you bring in a receiver who you might possibly have to extend, the rookie quarterback kind of buys you that ability to do so. Yeah. If you have to pay Keenan Allen, you now have a quarterback that you don't have to pay, where it's Justin Fields. You were going to have to pay either one, Keenan Allen or Justin Fields, I think.
You had to pay Justin two and a half this year coming up.
Yeah, but he's referring to the 5th-year option.
So you're going to sign a 34-year-old Keenan because he's 32 now. He's going to be 33 by the season. So you want to sign a 34-year-old wide receiver?
At
20 plus million.
He's 32 coming off his best season, though.
Yeah,
and coming off his best season.
So again, are you going to give him $20 plus million at the age of 30 after this season? So you want to give him for 25? You want to give him $25 million again?
No, he may not need that much. He may not need. If we're winning cures. Hey, look, winning can make you change your mind about everything. If we're winning, we're in the playoffs with a rookie quarterback. Who's to say that Keenan Allen wouldn't accept, a 2-year, $35 million deal?
No, I think Keenan Allen was very much a 1-year rental on purpose. I think to bring, like I said, what we just talked about, the Bears are going to bring a rookie quarterback into a situation which is almost impossible to fail. What is one of the most important pieces that creates that impossibility? Like I think Keenan Allen and DJ Moore is two of the most important pieces into bringing a rookie quarterback into a situation that's good to succeed, right? I mean, if it was just DJ Moore, let's say, going into this next season, you just got DJ Moore, you would have some concerns about a rookie quarterback not having weapons to throw the ball to, the same as we did Justin Fields when he was drafted. I think having Keenan Allen and DJ Moore for Caleb Williams, let's say his first season, he has those 2 number 1 receivers, and let's say they do draft a receiver at number 9 and that they let Keenan Allen go. It's the sophomore year. By the time Keenan Allen's leaving, Caleb would already be a little bit developed. He would already know the Bears system. Now he has possibly Neighbors or Odunze, and he still has DJ Moore there. But to have Keenan Allen and DJ Moore there, if you don't get a receiver in the draft, you're putting Caleb Williams in a situation where he can succeed. He's got 2 really good receivers, and like you said earlier, Sean, maybe it was Hampton who said earlier, the Bears also have to pitch themselves to Caleb Williams. Let's be honest, this guy has more leverage than maybe a quarterback, any player ever did coming into an NFL draft. It's not just, hey, Caleb, prove yourself to us. Why should we draft you? Are you a winner? Caleb is going to these football teams like the Chicago Bears and saying, why should I play for you? Why do I want to play for you? And I feel like the Bears signing Keenan Allen before this visit he has on Friday at the Bears facility is a big deal. I think that's going to be a part of Ryan Pohl's pitch to Caleb Williams. Like, we want you to play here. We want you to be all in. We're all in on you. And this is proof right here. Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, this is proof that we are here to help you win. We're here to help you succeed. I believe that the Bears are going to have to pitch themselves the same as Caleb Williams is going to have to pitch himself to the Bears.
I don't think they have to pitch themselves because of they pitch themselves by what they're doing. I mean, you don't have to say, hey, look, we're trying to win because all you got to do is look and see the moves that they made. They've improved the defense. You saw them, obviously the Montez thing at the trade deadline. You re-signed Jalen Johnson. Okay, you refilled that free safety spot. You lost a Pro Bowler, an All Pro, and guess what? You got an All Pro. You replaced it with an All Pro. So the the drop off is minimal, if any. So you got the defense set, and then you had the offense. They don't have to pitch them. All you got to do is look at the moves that they don't have to pitch and say, hey, come play with us. All you got to do is look at what we did. The proof is in the pudding. If you don't think we're here, we're trying to win and put you in a good position.
I agree. I think them saying, hey, we got Keenan Allen. This is what we did. We went and got Keenan Allen. So come play with us. I think the Keenan Allen is part of what you're saying right now. This is what we did.
Yeah.
I don't think Caleb Williams cares about signing Kevin Byard. I don't think he cares about, like, oh, did you get a free safety to fill in Eddie Jackson's spot? I think players like Keenan Allen is like, this is what should entice a quarterback to come succeed in our system, is we're giving you the tools. I mean, how often do we talk about Justin Fields was given a bad foundation? He wasn't given the weapons. He wasn't given the protection. He wasn't given the coaching. Does it not look to me, it looks like the Bears are trying to fix that problem. The problem they repeat over and over and over again is build the foundation before drafting the quarterback. Bring the weapons here. Bring the offensive lineman. So you know what? After Caleb Williams' first season, he's going to have some rookie struggles, but we can't all say, like we did Justin Fields, we didn't have this or he didn't have that. We can't really gauge whether or not he'll be a good quarterback. We have to give him another year. We have to build around him. No, it's built. It's built. Sure, they can add more, but it's built. The house is built.
Yeah, it's not so much now we have to find a replacement. It's about slightly tweaking and upgrading now. It's not about saying, oh, we don't have this at all. We have things in place.
There's no room for excuse now. You can properly assess Caleb Williams after his rookie season because he has the talent around him to succeed.
So how long of a leash do you give him? Because if we're talking playoffs, he's got to go playoffs because people who are in the
I think sophomore year,
pro Caleb camp are saying, well, you know what? They're saying pro Caleb, but wait, but now ease up on the adjustments. Well, you can't ease up on the expectations.
I'm still saying
you're stepping into a situation where that is the best ever for a number one pick ever, number one quarterback pick overall ever. So if we don't make the playoffs, now do you give them a leash and say, well,
let me ask you this: Do you think the Bears are a Super Bowl contending team next year?
No,
we're a playoff.
If they go to the playoffs and win a game and they're not, there's no way they're going to play in a Super Bowl.
I said playoffs. If they're in playoffs, I got no room.
Let's say Caleb comes in and has a phenomenal season, but the Bears don't make the playoffs.
Then that's all on Eberflus.
Do you think Caleb's leash got shorter?
No, that's all Eberflus because of the fact that
that's why I said earlier. There's one person in this organization who's
on a hot seat
is going to heat up game by game. There's one person in the organization, especially with Ryan Pohl's drafting a rookie quarterback. Just bought Ryan Pohl's another year. I truly believe that.
But if
one guy,
I want him for. I think if this is his guy, they're connected at the hip.
But here's the question. Here's the question. So despite the
that's what I'm saying. Brian Pohl's
excellent season, so you're saying if Caleb comes in and has an excellent season, what if he has an excellent season and the offense just doesn't produce late? The offense they need points and they don't produce late.
I think if Caleb grows, let's say Caleb is a better player week 18 than he was week 1. I don't think I don't think the stats need to fly off. I don't think the numbers need to fly off the charts. I think they need to see progression. Like I said, I think I alluded to this last time we did the show. Like like look at the season C.J. Stroud had, and people are like, oh, C.J. Stroud, the Houston Texans surprised everybody. They made the playoffs. Let's minus the playoff appearance from the Houston Texans season. Let's say C.J. Stroud had the same season without the playoff appearance. Does C.J. Stroud have a good season?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think we're all capable of delineating between if this player had a good season or if this team had a good season.
And it's not based off playoff
Yeah,
appearances.
right. So it's not based off playoffs for because like Sean just said, if the defense doesn't hold up its end or the rest of some other offensive players don't hold up their end, but
Eberflus is in trouble.
we
Well,
can
for
see
me, it's playoffs or bust. Then if it's not, it's a bad season if they don't, because they've revamped this defense. This defense has to play as good. If this defense played as good as it did in week 17, because in week 18 guys were injured and they just gave up. But if this defense plays as good from the week they got Montez Sweat until week 17, then there shouldn't be an issue. There should not be an issue. And everything, all the focus goes on the offense and how well the offense does, because this defense was a top 10 defense from the day that Montez Sweat got there to week 17. Excuse me, week 18, we can't count because Packers blew us out. We were missing some people. Guys just gave up. But before then, they were phenomenal. They were phenomenal. And so you can't expect anything less from that defense. So for me, it's playoff or bust. Even if Caleb has a bad year and they make the playoffs, okay, well then there's your rookie struggles. Next year shouldn't be 25, should be even much better now because you got your rookie struggles out of the way.
Yeah, because I'm with you. See, like I'm trying to get people to understand that when I say playoffs, like you, when you say playoffs or bust, it's not just on the quarterback. The quarterback plays a part in it, but the team as a whole, with the talent we currently have on this team, we are a 10-win or more team, is how I see it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no excuse for us not to win more than 10 games. 10
So
games.
Leroy, what do you think what do you think their divisional record is?
You really got to think about that. The Packers and the Lions in the same division with the Bears.
We beat the Lions twice. And if it wasn't for horrible play calling towards the second half of each game against the Packers, we aren't talking about the Packers beating us.
No, they beat the
We
Lions
beat ourselves
once.
in both games.
We beat them once.
Beat the Lions once.
But we had the lead for 14.
No, I'm just saying, if it wasn't for play
54
calling, we beat
minutes
the Lions and the Packers
54
both
minutes.
I'm saying if we don't have the horrible play calling, and then horrible play calling and some injuries and just the breakdowns in the second half against the Packers in both games, we're not talking about the Packers beating us. We're not forget. You don't forget the Vikings too. I think we have. They don't know what they're doing with their quarterback situation. So I think we got 2 wins again. We should be able to win at least split. But I think we get 2 wins against the Vikings and 2 wins against the Lions. And if you can split the Green Bay series, well, now you're cooking with gas.
You think the Bears go 5-1 in their division?
I got the Bears going. I got the Bears winning.
1-5.
They may be 4-2.
2-4.
Maybe 4-2. Maybe they don't beat Green Bay, and you go 4-2 in their division. That is a great. That from where we've been.
Honestly, yeah, I see us beating everybody in our division.
The Packers are the only one that give.
Whoa!
The Packers are changing their defense. Yes, because look at their defense. You got to remember they just scrapped yard half of their defense too. People aren't putting that into account that they're going to have the growing pains on defense as well. You got a whole new defensive scheme going out there. Defensive players had to learn a whole new lingo that they hadn't had to change in how many years there.
What about their first-year quarterback? They were their first-year quarterback that threw 32 touchdowns and 4,000 yards.
Yeah, he's not a first-year quarterback. You can't say that.
3 years, and he had the benefit of learning behind Aaron Rodgers.
First-year starter, 32 touchdowns, 4,000 yards. Do you think he digresses?
He had starts in the NFL.
No, he doesn't. I don't think he digresses at all because he's been in the same system. He's been in the same system it'll be his 5th year in the same system.
I think
he's not going to digress.
And technically 6 years because he came from a similar system that they was running from when he was in college. A lot of the stuff that they ran, only thing they had to clean up for him was his footwork and his arm angles. So he's been in the system for almost 5-6 years now, his whole life. He just had to change the lingo and his arm angles and things like that. They had to break some things down.
Do you think that the Packers got worse this year? So far with this
on the defensive side of the ball, I don't see really any improvement. Yes, they signed McKinney, but there's a reason why McKinney got overpaid. He got overpaid because he wasn't that good. There's a reason why the Bears, who had the money, who could have signed him, did not sign him.
I think he would have been a good signing for the Bears personally.
I know. If you watch,
do you think that the Lions got worse?
He's young. Yes, he may be young, but I don't buy the fact that he was that good. He had a great front of him. But
what big moves did the Lions make?
They signed Jay Reader. that defensive tackle out of Cincy. He's
Yeah,
had
but
some
who they lose?
beast.
They don't have a secondary.
Yeah, they haven't had one.
They don't have a secondary. So they're it goes
Who's
back to
that
what I
guy
was
that's
saying.
running from the law right now? That defensive back, like he's still in cars
Well,
somewhere.
look, we owned Detroit. All right, they came back. And hats off to Dan Campbell and that squad for them staying resilient. Had we kept, we should have won that one game. I'm not afraid of Detroit at all. And in Minnesota with their quarterback situation up in the air, I'm not afraid of Minnesota. So that's
John.
I think that's
John,
4
what
wins
about
there
Dan's
and then
hot
split.
take?
Huh?
John, what about Dan Hampton's hot take about him saying that Dan Campbell in this generation is most likely like Ditka? Oh my God! I was like, oh.
I mean,
it's kind of accurate.
I want to clip that, dude. I want to clip that. That was good. I was like,
well, there's no other. I think Tomlin is probably more is like that too. Tomlin's one of those dudes, and he's been in. But if you're talking, like Tomlin's been in for what 16? How
17? It'll be 18 years
17.
next year.
All right, so he's still from that old school. All right, so if you think a new school, yeah, then Dan Campbell was definitely. But I think Tomlin is very similar to that as well.
Yeah,
my only point is that
that's a good take.
Gotten a lot is not. It hasn't regressed. It's getting better at the very least, and the Bears are getting better too. And I would really love to see them win at least 3 games in this division, and I would love to see them beat the Packers because I'm sick of seeing us lose to them. Being realistic, it's tough to see them winning, 5 games in the NFC North, and that's where it's got to start if you're going to be a playoff team. Right.
But so let me ask you, what about us in Detroit? You saw what we did against Detroit last year. Can you say that it's possible that we beat Detroit twice?
Well, it's
good job, Armando.
He's saying that we're delusional. How can we be delusional when we did that with just one weapon? We only had DJ Moore on the offensive side. Now we got Keenan Allen, who.
But again, I don't want to lead you. I don't want to lead the witness. I'm just asking.
No.
Think of the way that we played Detroit last year, and do you think it's feasible? Do you think it's feasible that we beat Detroit twice?
Yes.
That's an answer.
I would say
a
home and home at best. If they
okay,
I could see that across the board.
Okay, so home and home with Minnesota as well. Despite that, we don't even know who the heck the quarterback is.
Exactly, and I hope it's
we don't even know. That's what I'm talking about. Sean's that dog, dude.
Because I think they could take 2 if that quarterback situation is not settled. But I do like some of the moves that Minnesota's made too. Signing Greener. I know they lost Hunter, but that was almost a lateral move in terms of what they did there. They've made some good additions, and and they're in a position now with 2 first-round picks to make a play to get up to number 3 potentially if the Patriots want to dance. So like that could make Drake May in Minnesota, which as much as I've talked shit about Drake May, I'd be scared of that because if that guy turns out to be good and starts playing against the Patriots twice a year, that could be scary. So I just 3-3 is my hope. And then I would say, their schedule has some pretty winnable games on it, And
we don't know. And here's the thing: everyone says the schedule. Well, you don't know how the schedule is going to play out.
Yeah,
because you have to go by because people are going off of last year's record, and it doesn't. You lose 1 or 2 key players from that team who was a playoff team. Well, all of a sudden, that's not a playoff team. There's a lot of different things that happen. So when people say, well, they go off of strength of schedule, that's bullshit because every team changes every year. And depending on how the team changed, I don't care if they had when they talk about their strength of schedule. Last year, this team was a stud. It was great, but this year, this team happened to lose this many people, and then all of a sudden they're injured. So all of a sudden, this team, which we thought was a juggernaut, all of a sudden isn't. And then you have teams who you didn't think Houston Texans were going to be this good this year. No one did. And so you imagine them on the strength of schedule. So so when people say things like when you go by stats, I can't deal with people who just go by stats. Yeah. All right, there's an eye test. You have to use logic as well. Logic is who do they gain, who do they lose? What are the offensive coordinator? They get a new offensive coordinator, they get a new defensive coordinator. These things matter. And people don't understand that. They're like, well, we got the same team. Well, listen, we didn't win a Super Bowl and we had Cutler. Why? Because we had 6 offensive coordinators in 8 years. 6 coordinators in 8 years. So you're constantly changing offenses and if you realize that offense that Cutler had, every single member of that offense either had gone to a Pro Bowl or was going to a Pro Bowl. We had a stacked offense with Forte and Jeffrey and Martellus Bennett and Marshall and Long and all those guys. And we didn't make the play, and we didn't get to the Super. We didn't win the Super Bowl because you keep changing stuff. No, we find it, but we keep changing offenses, and that's the thing. Yeah. So there's just a lot that goes into it. It's not just here's what it says by PFFC. This wins it. Don't give me that stats. Look and see what's going on in actuality, not just stats. You can use them to kind of aid you, but I can't just I can't just go off of stats because there are reason for stats. There are reason that Justin is 10 of 28, not just because he was the worst. Well, why was he one of the worst quarterbacks in the fourth quarter? Maybe because we're always behind. Maybe because your defense is giving up 33 points a game. Maybe because his record is that because he has a shit wide receiver core that you would.
Okay, but Justin Fields averaged 130 yards rushing against the Detroit Lions over his career. Is Caleb Williams going to do that? Because if you're talking about the difference in one season to the next based on projections, if Caleb Williams doesn't run 130 yards against the Lions since Eberflus has taken over the team, is the expectation against the Lions the same?
I'm not sure. So if Caleb doesn't rush for 130, that's probably not going to be.
The Bears have had moderate success against the Detroit Lions because Justin Fields torched them on the ground. He averaged 130 yards rushing against the Detroit Lions, but now we have Caleb Williams, who there's nothing pointing towards Caleb Williams being a 130 yards rusher against a divisional team. So if Caleb Williams is now the quarterback against the Lions, do the Bears play the Lions worse? Do we now think that maybe they don't play the Lions as well as they did?
No,
I think
so.
I think we can.
Go ahead.
No, the reason why I say that it doesn't change how we play against them, it actually improves, is because of the fact that we have more weapons. The reason why we
Justin Fields didn't use weapons.
The defense felt like they were forced to. They just stacked the box. And then they waited for the play, and Justin waited for the play to break down to get those rush yards. It wasn't like it was planned runs. It wasn't all scripted runs. It was more so that the play broke down, a guy in the backfield missed, and he torched him.
Right, but now, if we had weapons would be a little more scripted of the game plan.
But I'm saying, but I'm getting to that. I'm saying if with the receivers and the weapons we have now, Detroit isn't going to be afforded to just sit there and stack the box and expect us to run and force us to pass. If they force us to pass the ball, they are going to get torched. Keenan Allen, even at 32 years old, you is not going to sit there and just put single coverage on him. You're not going to put single coverage on DJ Moore.
You have to, because you can't double team. Who are you going to double team?
Exactly. I'm getting to my point that there's a plethora of weapons now for Detroit to worry about, and
are we stating Caleb Williams poses a greater threat against Detroit passing the football than Justin Fields did?
In some ways, yes, because Fields didn't have those weapons.
Because
if Fields had a Keenan Allen and a DJ Moore, we're not having this discussion about him having 130 yards rushing. He's not rushing for 130 yards because he's just going to torch him. He's just going to throw the ball deep.
See, it's difficult to compare because of if you put Caleb Williams in last year, in the last 2 years against the Detroit Lions, then he's going to have to rush. Okay. But if you put Justin Fields in, of course it's a moot point, but if you put Justin Fields with these guys, Justin Fields doesn't need to rush for 130 yards. He's got weapons. You're not double teaming. You're not double teaming Keenan Allen because DJ Moore is going to kill you. Cole Kmet's going to kill you. You're not double teaming DJ Moore because Keenan Allen and Cole Kmet are going to kill you. And you're damn sure not double teaming Cole Kmet. He's not Jason Kelsey. So they have to be. There's going to be a lot more availability, a lot more weapons. You can throw it up to a 6'3", 6'4" Keenan Allen, and he's going to go get it. All right, you can't throw it up against Darnell Mooney and expect him to go get it. So those two things are different. It's not that you're worried about him beating. He's a better passer. We expect him to be a better, more dangerous passing. He's got more weapons. Yeah. He's got more weapons.
That Caleb Williams may not like to run, but this kid did just have 10 rushing touchdowns last year.
Justin wasn't a runner either. I mean, let's not act like Justin was Michael Vick.
He's going to do what's necessary to win. If an open lane opens up, he's going to run. he's just not as fast as
Oh,
Fields. That's all.
Just like Aaron Rodgers, his favorite quarterback, and Tom Brady, the GOAT. Those are his two guys that he goes to. He doesn't go to Cam Newton, jersey number 1, and Michael Vick. He goes to guys that throw the ball and then run when they have to. That's what you're going to see. That's what we have in the building. Fast forward, we're going from we're graduating to solid foods now. We're going to eat that. Okay.
Michael
So-
Wilbon expects
Yeah.
Caleb Williams to rush for about 300 to 400 yards over this season. Justin Fields rushed for over 1,000 yards. Like I said
like
before,
Wilbon.
these are not comparable players. They're not comparable players.
No, hell no.
They're
Because
not.
of the weapons. If he was dropping Caleb in the same situation right now with no true upgrades, then I'd say that
I
Michael
will,
Wilbon's
I
crazy.
will
'Cause I
bet
can
you,
feel
Leroy,
it. I can tell you.
that I will bet you that Justin Fields, for the remainder of his career, even if there's weapons in Pittsburgh, still rushes from 600 to 700 yards per season.
But
I don't know.
if he does do that, which is very possible, we have to look at his passing numbers, because if he's able to get to 3,000 yards and still rushing for those, I think that'd be phenomenal. But
Oh yeah.
let's not act as if Justin Fields is a running quarterback. He didn't run at Ohio State. That was not his thing. He sat there. He beat you from the pocket. Okay,
Yeah,
why did he run here?
combined 3
Because
years,
he had to.
700 yards rushing.
Because he had to, not because he wanted to. He had to. It was called self-preservation. And believe me, when there's a thing, it's the thing called conditioning. When you feel when certain situations arise, when that snap gets rolled back to you, when that snap is over your head, and you have to get your eyes off downfield. Yeah, there's a PTSD. Okay, and that's something he's got to work through. That's not just, but he's got to work through. But that's not his fault.
Sure.
just want to give another quick shout out. We had over 130 in the chat.
Damn,
Appreciate y'all.
you guys are snapping.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, guys.
Dude,
Sean travels well, baby. Sean travels well. He's got a
That's
lot
just
of
you guys
fans
doing
out.
well, dude. That's you. You guys are doing it. I brought a few, but not
Oh,
to make that, but you know what I mean? So
Hey,
We
Sean,
appreciate the love,
Sean,
everybody. We
Sean.
appreciate you guys sticking around with us. We love
Sean,
it.
hold on. Sean, I just want you to know that I don't know if you noticed, but I went back. I zipped it up earlier because I came out because I knew once I saw Keith. Did you see Keith? I only highlighted him a couple times.
yeah,
I
I got Keith.
I can't take two no maniacs at the same time, man. I couldn't handle it. Dude, I did things. I poked the bear because I know you can handle all freaking 4 of us at once, dude. This guy's got it going on, man. I've seen him freaking go to battle. So it's freaking awesome. It's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for I just wish we had Dan a little bit more and you could ask more questions. We worked with him to try to get him on the video so he could have saw him and been on the whole thing, but he couldn't figure it out, and that happens, you know. So
Ghost of Judah Tribe, he's like, I was right, you were wrong. Actually, no, it's literally you had one opinion, I had another, and you know, if you listen to someone and you took this opinion that they gave you, and really, what did you win?
no, I love Sean.
It's like it's if we're gonna see Punxsutawney's Phil's shadow. And you're celebrating and doing victory laps over Punxsutawney Phil. Like you had one opinion, I had another, and okay, it's nothing you did.
Yeah,
It's nothing you. It's you know what? It's nothing that you did. When you say you won, you didn't win. You didn't contribute to them trading Justin. You didn't contribute to that. Like you didn't do anything. You just say, "I'll pick this side." So what did you actually win?
Yeah,
Yeah.
You pick the side. That's it.
we got to move forward.
listen,
I know. I agree.
Listen, if
Justin's
Sean-
my guy, he's gone.
Get
I'll follow
excited.
him from afar. And whoever the next quarterback is, and here's the thing: whoever the next quarterback is, I said I'm a Bears fan first. I said I think Justin Fields is was the best guy to lead it, but Ryan Poles said no, he's not, in my opinion. So and he moved on. So end of story. And we can continue to do this, but it's a moot point. Like I said earlier in here, it's a moot point. So let's focus on who's coming. Let's focus on after April 24th, 5th. We can figure out who's here and then go from there. Root for the Bears. We're all Bears fans. You know, the only issue is the reason this thing is whole divided was because so many, and there are toxic people on both sides. The toxicity from the pro Caleb people, all right, and the pro Justin people, and everyone talking well, and the insults. Because we can have it, we can agree to disagree. I got tons of friends who are pro Caleb. Tons.
Yeah, look,
But we
I
don't have
wanted
to get the
Fields
name
to stay,
calling. We don't
but
have to be, you know what I'm saying? Like here, goes to Judah Child, like Justin Sexuals, Busted Fields. You're an idiot if you don't think Caleb is this. You're a clown if you don't think Caleb is this. Like, there's no need for it, bro. Like,
No, there's no need for
like
it.
your life is so wrapped up in a team that doesn't even give a shit about you except getting your money, and you want to, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
Keep it clean. Keep
You
it
know?
clean.
like
It's clean.
Brandon, like Trax, like me and me and you've been talking about this before. Like, you know how much I cared about Justin Fields, right?
Yeah.
What the moment he got traded, what was I saying? It's all about Caleb.
You were heartbroken.
Yeah.
I was heartbroken. Hey,
It took
I was
a while.
heartbroken.
I'm messing with you.
What I say though, I was heartbroken, but I was just
Gotta move on.
I was more heartbroken about the way everyone took it more than anything. Like, you know, we get it. Caleb's the guy now, but you know,
We were ribbing you. We were ribbing you because we know damn well if
No matter whose
if
fault it
Justin would have
was,
stayed and there was a
we were
5-year
done. We were at a
contract, you would have
crossroads.
gave it all to us. Locked the
Nah.
barrel.
That's all right. We're
Nah,
all
I'm
Bears
not that
fans.
kind of
We
guy,
don't
though.
cheer for one
You know
player.
me,
We
Trax,
cheer
you know I'm
for
not
a
that kind of
team.
guy. I'm not that kind of guy because had we kept Fields,
John
I
would have.
would've-
Somebody better because that's what we do on the gridiron. We freaking rib each other. We give each other a hard time.
I never
man.
been one
we
to
talk
talk
shit.
about
I mean,
that.
that's part of
Military,
being a
same
football player.
I let
Is
my
to give
actions speak louder than words. I'm more of an action kind of guy. You know what I'm
like
saying?
both.
You know, so
Like-
but for me though, like had we kept Fields and we didn't get Caleb, I would have felt bad for Trax because, you know what I'm saying, he went through so much knowing how good this guy is, and then he goes to another team and he's doing well. I'd be feeling bad for him because, you know, he's like, this is what we could have had. So I saw it from both ends. You know, am I upset that Fields isn't here? A little bit, but watching Caleb, you know, it makes me feel better. You know, like I feel good, you know, knowing that we getting something better in return. So I'm not too heartbroken over. Like, I do enough research, enough videotape watching both guys where I felt like it was a win-win for us. That's how I went into it.
The reality is you don't root for the player, you root for the team.
I'm
Yeah.
saying win-win.
But it's not- it's not- but it's not
that's
the
what I
play-
mean. Like, it's a win-win.
but you also have to figure
Justin
out
Fields
that-
as a guy. I like Justin Fields as a human being because of what he brung, you know, for what he's brung to this organization. But I'm not saying it. But who's to say that Caleb can't do the same thing? This man can walk in the door and be just as great as a human being.
Hopefully
so I'm
better.
not that aside. You know, if we're not worried about that, Caleb's just a better player in my opinion. I just wanted to keep Fields because he was more seasoned. He had more experience. But
Leroy,
Caleb, bro, I'm cool with
real talk. As soon as Caleb and company beat the Green Bay Packers, you're going to see a bunch of salons that are going to be filled up with men, and they're going to have green and yellow fingernails that say "fuck the Packers" with the
I'm
middle
gonna
finger.
smack every single one of them people that do it.
However it works out, I haven't figured it out
Don't do it. Don't do it. You ain't gonna catch me doing it. Nah.
Be you. Do what you want to do.
Nah. Our quarterback can do it. Hey, the quarterback, if it's gonna help him win the game, cool. Just don't think I'm doing it. Nah, that ain't me, bro. Nah. I'm straight on the fingernail thing. I'm straight on that. You know what I'm saying? I understand the whole
What about the dress? I mean, Dwayne Wade wore dresses and he got his fingernails painted. He came to Chicago. We loved him. Come on, man. Let's
well, see, difference. See, he was wearing a legit dress. You know, Caleb was wearing a modern day toga. There's a difference. You know what I'm saying?
Better than
One
the
was doing
other.
it for GQ. The other one was doing it because he was marrying himself. There's a total different
That was Dennis
situation
Rodman.
going on.
Yeah, Dennis Rodman.
That was Rodman, bro.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, there's two different brothers, you know, saying two brothers that had totally different objectives going on with that. You know, one was doing it because, you know, he got model tendencies, you know what I'm saying? He got the look of a model, and he's wearing a modern day Trojan, because he goes to USC at the time, modern day Trojan toga. Then you got another guy who's on the team coming off a bender from Vegas wearing a dress to marry himself. There's a difference. You know what I'm saying? That's a total difference. You know what I'm saying? You know, one's literally admitted that his mind is gone, and the other one's just modern day athlete, model.
Wait. Are you still talking about Dwayne Wade? His mind ain't gone. He's freaking intelligent.
Oh, Dwayne Wade, look, hey, I don't know what's up with Wade with that dress, man. Look, he let us down to Chicago with that, bro. I'm not gonna speak on that.
Chicago with his play as well.
Man,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we got him far past his prime. That's all right though.
He coached up to go to Miami, though. He put in all his eggs in that basket, coached him up. Then he goes over there, Butler, and he's going off like crazy, man, over in Miami, man. I'm like, why didn't freaking Butler do that here in Chicago, man? Seriously. But Hey, Sean, thank you so much for being on the show and tolerating us. I know I was a little irritating to you today, and I had to do it, man. I had to do it. So
You were great.
It's been a great show, guys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you were
It
great,
was
Sean.
fun. It was fun. It wasn't irritating.
You know what? I
Thanks
didn't
for
even
coming
get to
on, man.
ask you for third and fourth. What would you do in the third round and the fourth round to fill in our our roster if we third and fourth round?
Do we have a third round pick?
Yeah,
Number
we got a
75.
third.
And then what about do we have how many fourth rounds? Because we got
One.
Keenan Allen.
Yeah, one number
We
one.
still have ours. We have our fourth
Oh,
round.
we have
We
ours.
got 2/3 and one. No, 1/3 and 1/4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would just maybe get I'd say get a one trick pony as a defensive end, a guy who just rushes the passer, and just use him to a la Mark Anderson from the 06 season.
Austin
you know,
Booker. This is
So
like-
what you do there, like it's 3rd and 8. They ain't running the ball. All right, stick your ears back and go get him. And you get a guy who did that at a high level. Maybe a little smaller guy like Elvis Dumerville back in the day. Something, someone who's just a pain in the ass because he's a little shorter, but he's strong and extremely, extremely explosive. So that, and then maybe get another slot receiver as well. The McConkeys, and maybe not him, but there's a lot of other
Brandon
guys.
Rice.
Wilson.
Brandon Rice, I was going to say.
Okay,
Or
Brandon
Worthy.
Rice.
Or Worthy. If
Where
he's
one
available.
of those guys, but no, I mean I need like an Edelman, a Amendola type slot guy. Like his job for all intents and purposes is get the first down. That's the dude we need, because you got to cover DJ, you're gonna have to cover Kmet, you're gonna have to cover Keenan Allen. Like, you don't have enough people, so give me a little shaky shake guy who can excuse me, shaky shake guy who can get the get free. Like, you know what, a Tariq Cohen type guy, to play the slot, who in space you got no shot of bringing him down. So
Okay. All right. Hey, thanks so much, Sean. I appreciate you, brother.
hey guys,
Right
great.
on,
It was a great time talking, debating. Like I
Yes.
said, we can stand on opposite sides of the fence. We can agree to disagree. You know what I mean? I think that's great. And we're all Bears fans. And
Civility.
Now it's Caleb time. Do it.
Yes, sir. In polls we trust, baby.
listen,
Polls we trust.
in polls we trust, and just don't be surprised. And I'm not going to say I'd be ecstatic if he traded that number 1 pick, but I'd be ecstatic.
By your face, you would.
Hey, turnabout's foreplay.
Hey, you know what? Because if he did, trust me, all the people, all the little trolls who wanted to come at me, I keep receipts. I will be like,
Oh,
it'll be funny.
over. Are we?
I am Petty Murphy. Yes, I am Petty. All right, guys. Thanks again. We'll
All right,
talk
man.
soon.
Thanks.
Nice.
All right.
All right.
Oh man, that was awesome, man. That was
Great.
so cool.
That was good.
Yeah, it was. Yes, it was. It was been a great show today, guys. I definitely appreciate everybody's thoughts and opinions. Even though we, may not have all agreed on everything, but at the end of the day, we all know where we all stand. United.
Wouldn't make for much of a show.
You know what I'm saying? It's Chi-Town up, bear down, baby, all the time. You know what I'm saying? We ain't all gotta live in Chicago to all come to agreement that we want is all about the Bears first, baby. We want what's best, and that's Lombardi trophies. We want championships here. And damn it, if it was Dustin or Brandon or you Trax being quarterback behind his team, I'm throwing support behind it. You know what I'm saying? I just want us to win. Like, people, that's what we have to all realize at the end of the day when we're doing this show. Yeah, yes, we're ribbing, we're jabbing at people that's trolling and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I was a Fields guy, but at the end of the day, you see this right here? You don't see nothing that say Justin Fields. I don't wear Fields. I don't buy, the jerseys per se, unless I know they're gonna be here for a long time. You know what I'm saying? The last jersey I bought of a player was Peanut Tillman. That's it. And that's because I knew he was gonna be there for a minute. You know what I'm saying? I got an Urlacher jersey, and I have a Lance Briggs jersey. But
Singletary, baby. Singletary.
And I got a Walter Payton jersey too. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's
I'm gonna
it.
buy a Caleb jersey, if I'm just being honest.
Yeah, baby.
I'm gonna wait. I
I'll get
want to
you
wait.
one.
I don't want to. Obviously, if he gets drafted, yeah, then I'm gonna get one because you know what I'm saying. the first overall picks usually last. You're not giving up on a first round pick like that. So
I agree with you,
Shout out
Leroy. Though
TC World of Wonders. Shout out to our sponsor, TC World of Wonders. Get ready, Tom. As soon as we draft Caleb, it's on like Donkey Kong. We're gonna put a big order for Caleb jerseys faster than the word of God. And guess what? Just when we got DJ Moore, four. It was either 4 or 5 days later, he had that shipped to my house. It was awesome. I was like,
oh yeah,
like, how this big old mofo get freaking DJ Moore before everybody else around me, man? They're like, how'd you get that? I was like, yeah.
TC
My
World of Wonders,
sponsor.
baby. That's how, man. Oh.
Yeah, TC World of Wonders is where it's at, man. They've helped us out so much with the Mongo. They've sent countless jerseys that I've raffled off, and the money and the proceeds go to Mongo's his fund for
very cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was so cool, man. It was so cool for his ALS and everything, for his nursing fund. And they've gave us discounts. They've gave places where we've had different things, discounts. We just got 15,
and no,
30,
I don't own a terrible towel ghost, because if you look in the background,
30.
I'm all Bears, baby. And
we just got 30 jerseys. Tom just gave 30 jerseys. Well, they didn't give, they bought them, but to Bridget Scoreboard for the Will Purdue that Brandon and I will be at Saturday at 3:00. And Brandon can't make it. Dano will be up there at 3 p.m. And we're gonna have a podcast up there, and then an autograph session with Will Purdue from Chicago Bulls. So that'll be awesome, because that's actually our first podcast we'll have with a Chicago Bull. And that's a pretty good person to be interviewing for your first podcast, right, guys?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
love how chill
I'll be
he
there in spirit, Brandon.
I was like, he's got a super chill vibe. I love that guy.
Who's that?
Will Purdue.
Oh, really?
Like this, and be like, the Bulls, they really need to do
The finger tap. Yeah.
getting the offensive rebound. So zen about his commentary.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's awesome.
Hey, you got a pretty chill vibe too, man. But you know what? You guys packed a punch. You guys had some really good ammunition for Sean. That was my litmus test for you guys. I was like, all right, I'm bringing the big dog in. Let's see how you guys handle it, because he is all about that Justin life. He's all about that Justin life, man. We were going forward about some stuff, and he's like, with it, Justin. We were going forward, Justin. And I was like, okay, here we go. And Brandon's like, wow. Yeah, so it was fun, man. It was good. I loved it. And I love Sean, man. And I tell you what, if he beats me out in an argument and he's my back at left tackle, I'm blocking for him no matter what. That's how I am, man. An argument means nothing. It's all in fun, right, boys? So yeah. It's all good. So he knows that, I know that. So there ain't no separation. So it's all good.
We can't debate if we all agree, right? That's the point,
right?
Of this.
And you know what? Look at all the great shows, Dustin. Look at all the great shows that you watch, these podcasts and stuff. The Mike and Mike morning. Them boys were at it. Golick and Greenberg, like, are you kidding me, you nerd? You never stepped foot on a football field. Aren't you donut eating animal? You freaking let your whole body go to waste. They'd just be going back and forth. But dude, I mean, if you're all chill saying the same thing, you ain't gonna have fun, So,
I love your blouse. This ain't that kind of show.
Went to see Mike.
Love your blouse.
Palatine, and I went to go use the bathroom, and there was a security guard blocking off the bathroom. And then I'm standing there, and Mike Greenberg comes out. He's like, "Sorry, man, they make me do this." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, dude." He had the whole bathroom blocked off just so he could use it. Mike Greenberg.
They make me do this.
Kind of a diva.
Wow, man. Yeah. He was not my favorite, but you know what? I still listen to him. He's got good stuff, man. I think he's not totally off base, and it's interesting how somebody that
he called it when he said that they were going to get rid of Fields, and he said to the Steelers. So he was the first to say
I like his
Steelers,
but he just kind of
he knows his stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been a writer. He's been a writer. From his Northwestern days, so Mike Greenberg knows his stuff. He definitely knows his stuff. So like he said, he's Mike Greenberg was pro Justin Fields as well. However, he felt that he was better off somewhere else because the team wasn't ready for Justin. And that both could be true. You know, Justin can be great, and then the Bears can be great with a different quarterback in place, which is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. In my opinion, like I said, for me, though, like whatever it takes for the Bears to get to a Super Bowl is all that matters to me. I do not care who comes in and out of this building, as long as it results in wins and getting to the ultimate goal, and that's winning championships. Not a championship, championships, multiple. I want us to start being
I'll take
guys
one.
we should have been back in the 80s.
Had one since I was born. We ain't had one, so I'll take one to start.
Real. Yeah, same here.
Green Bay one time and then go from there. That'd be great.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just start. Yeah, kick the pack.
That'd be great.
Yeah, but with that being said, I'm gonna have to get on out of here, guys. You know what I'm saying? I got my kids pounding on the door.
Hey, and I will tell you this much, guys, with the amount of sass that Caleb has on his ass, I want him, if I ever can get a carrier pigeon or some sort of message off to Caleb, this is what I want him to do. And I don't think it could be the first time, but at least the second time that we finally beat Green Bay, I want him to look up in Lambeau and I want him to say, I own you. I'll be like, let's go. Let's go. Okay,
He's got that kind of attitude. I can see him doing it. I can see him doing it.
Sure. Yeah, we need our own one of those.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we
hey,
got
guys,
one.
thanks so much for answering the bell. Thanks for showing up to the Dan Hampton show and invading Leroy's show, because he's the only one on Thursday nights that's actually in the building for Thursday nights. Well, it wasn't even a night. It was like 6 p.m. call. It was a little weird, but you got to do that when the slips pull up, dude. Whatever they say time it is, we got to put it together. You know what I mean? So.
You got to roll out the red carpet for Dan Hampton, man. You got to.
Hey, especially, I just want to take care of some quick business tomorrow, Friday night. Cleat will be in the building, and he is going to have Eric Kramer on, and he's going to break down and dissect all of the QB stuff. So if you want to hear all of that great QB knowledge that Eric Kramer has with him, please listen up. He's got some great insight, great words of wisdom. It's going to be nice, and he's still in and around the game. So he's sharp, man. We've had him on the show before. You guys had a really good time, right? And then also Sunday, I believe, Jim Miller is going to be coming on with us at around 6 o'clock, 5 or 6. We haven't scheduled it exactly. It's either going to be 5 or 6 Central. So we'll be looking for some bodies for that to interview him. Yeah. For Sunday, I'm gonna do like what Caleb did in the interview. Like anything can happen, but I was like, let's go. But yeah, so we're gonna have Jim Miller on Sunday at about 5 or 6 p.m. He's gonna finalize the deets on that. So 2 quarterbacks, Friday and Sunday. And we just filled up with Dan Hampton. Where else are you going to get that, boys? Where?
Wow, man. Great.
Nowhere but over here, baby. CSP, Chicago Sports Podcast, baby. So, you know what I'm saying? Got to eat it up. You know what I'm saying? Like, subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Show some love, guys. We understand how you guys are fighting, you know what I'm saying, going to fisticuffs right now in the chat. But in the end of the day, it's all love for everybody. You know what I'm saying? So we all Bears fans at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So we got to roll with it. You know what I'm saying? It's all about Caleb, you know what I'm saying, and the Chicago Bears, who's, you know, he's a presumably future leader of the Chicago Bears. Like I said, we still don't know yet. You know,
no, yeah, we do.
You know, right now, you know, presumably he's the number one guy. You know, we don't know if they.
We don't know yet.
We have no idea.
You know, we don't know yet, but you know, yeah.
Let's do that for the podcast now.
You know, we don't know yet.
We have no idea if he's coming or not.
Head on, yeah.
Anything could happen.
All right, guys.
All right.
Great job, man.
Chi-Town up and bear down, guys. Thanks again.